What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. Why is my camera so bright? Why does it do so weird? You put the settings and it doesn't save the settings. Crazy. How's everyone doing? On today's show, we're going to be talking about Marvel Rivals, The Thing abilities, full breakdown. So we have some information on that. That comes out later this week. We're going to talk about rumored GTA 6 could include user-generated content similar to Roblox and Fortnite, so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Phil Spencer. Not every story is told in that way. Phil Spencer says that live service games aren't the answer to every problem. And then we're also going to watch Avowed's review from Skill Up. We like watching Skill Up stuff. I think he's pretty, pretty honest. I agree with most of the stuff he says for most games, so we're going to watch his review on Avowed. We are playing Avowed tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. On the show tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming. So if you guys like that, last night we played some cinema. What was it called? Cinema Simulator 2025 is what we played last night. I enjoyed it. It's a small $10 game, $9 game, whatever it was. It was pretty fun. So we own our own theater, and that's what we were playing. How's it going, chat? What is going on? Let me see who's here. We got Eclipse, Kylo, Robert Jones, Water Bear, Wonder Rose, Big Mo. Who else am I missing? Ron Slusher. Who else am I missing? Anybody else? I think that's it. I think we got everybody. All right. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, Kylo? You may fire it up on the Xbox tonight and try it out. Yeah, we're going to try it out. I watched some people play it. It looks pretty good. You know, I don't get involved with all the other drama. You know, I play a game. If I like the game, I'll play it. If I don't like the game, I don't play it. Pretty much that simple. That simple. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Yeah, Water, when you said it gives you Flash Gordon vibes or late 80s cartoon, that's exactly the style I was going for Marvel Rivals. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do, I think about what it is. Like, so for instance, the Battlefield 18 months, you know, I was like, what? It's sad, right? Battlefield's sad because it took 18 months to fix. I was like, oh, we'll make that a country song, right? Then I do something else like a 7 out of 10, and I'm like, you know what? That'd be funny if it was like a pop song, if it was a a Taylor Swift type of song. And then when it was like a Marvel Rivals, I was like, you know what? This sounds like it would be an 80s cartoon. I was like, and that's the vibe. That's the way I go about doing all these songs. I was thinking about making a whole album of like country, and then on a whole album of like rock, of like the same songs that I have, but put them in different genres, and that way upload that. So if people like country, they can listen to all of those songs that I wrote, but in country form, and then in metal form or in pop form. You know, I was thinking about it. Jason says, what's going on, Jason? Says the patch notes for Rivals for leak support alts getting nerfed a bit. I saw a video right before he went live. I might watch the guy. He had a full patch notes of what's happening, so we might watch that as well, since we're doing the thing talk here. Barbear says, want to know what else is sad? I really believe that the golden age of gaming from 2010 to 2019 isn't coming back anytime soon. It's just a way too much extra BS being added in games these days. I don't know. I think there's some really good games. Water. I think the problem is there's so many games. It's hard to weed through them to find the ones that are, like, awesome. There's some really good gems out there. And I'm not even talking about, like, AAA games, right? Just fun games that I believe there's still as many as there was in the past. It's just harder to find them. What's going on, Rowick? Oh, Roadkill. Last night, I didn't see you with the super chat, and I wanted to thank you very much for the $20 super chat last night in the stream. By the time I saw it and thanked you, I don't think you were in the chat anymore. So I want to say thank you very much for the $20 super chat last night during the gameplay of Cinema Simulator. So I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So much so. Here, we got you. Oh, you guys can't hear it. Shit. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta start it over. Roadkill gave a $20 super chat. And Roadkill's got his own song. So hold on.
When the stream is live, the chat's on fire. The Roadkill drops in, lifting us higher. He's the hype train, the spark, the fuel, saying I rule, you're cool at Xbox rules. Hit that like, don't miss your cue. Support the stream, it's what we do. Roadkill leads, live a life so bright, making every stream feel just right.
You should be able to hear it now.
You're pretty cool, and the Xbox rules, so yeah, it rules. Hit that like, don't bend the rules. Roadkill's the heart of 30 and through.
All right, we'll let that. There you go. No, that's the same song. That's the same song, Roadkill. That's the one song I made for you. Yeah, I started playing more double A games. Eternal Strands is really good. People are sleeping on it. I like it. I think it's fun. The combat in Eternal Strands is a little wonky. And again, this is not to say like it's wonky as the combat was in like Outlaws when I said it was wonky. You know, there's something off about it. If they tighten up the combat in Eternal Strands, I think it's a really, really good game. Warren says, I see Roadkill as a truck driver for some reason. Walking around in a big-ass headset through Walmart. I don't know if he's a trucker. I don't think he is. I think he works at an office job. Eternal Strands looks like fun. It'll get on sale. I don't even think it's a full-price game. I think it's like a $30, $40 game, Travis. I mean, obviously, you can wait to forget it on sale. But I don't think it's a full-price game, which is another bonus, right? It's a really fun game, and it's not $70. Warbear says, 30, don't play Avowed in third person unless you enjoy a skatey movement. Eternal Strands, it's better in first person. I did see that. So, like, Eternal Strands has that skate movement, and I was watching It's Me JP play a little bit of Avowed, and he showed the third person off, and he was, like, getting hit, and it was like he was sliding a little bit. And I was just like, oh, and then he went back to first person, and it looks much more, obviously, you know, like, as I think the game was supposed to be played in first person, but I do like the fact that you can just push the right analog stick in if you're playing on controller and switch between first person and third person, which I think is cool. I think more games should do that. I think there should be an option to let you play the game how you want to play like that. All right. So we got a couple stories. Let me bring up one more. I gotta find it real fast. I want to get the notes. There it is.
Much about that, so I don't know.
Okay. So we have Marvel Rivals, the Thing abilities full breakdown. That's what we'll start off with here. All right, so the Thing comes out. The Human Torch and the Thing come out this Friday, the 21st, right? So just a couple days away from it. And so Marvel Rivals, the Thing abilities, full breakdown. So here's a full breakdown of the Thing's abilities, classes, and when you can play them in Marvel Rivals. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, have conversations. I give you my thoughts and opinions on the articles. Then you can give me your thoughts and opinions in the chat. Or if you're watching this after the fact, you put your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right, so Marvel Rivals is keeping the excitement going into the mid-season 1 update. The fans couldn't be more thrilled. Alongside the Human Torch, the Thing is joining the battle, bringing in the raw strength and durability onto the battlefield. This update is not just about new heroes. It's also packed with major gameplay changes, and the players have also been waiting for. Let's take a look at the Thing's abilities and what makes a powerhouse in Marvel Rivals. Okay. So, who is the Thing in Marvel Rivals? The Thing, also known as Ben Grimm, is a legendary member of the Fantastic Four. He's known for his rock-like exterior, incredible strength, and making unstoppable forces in any fight. In Marvel Rivals, the Thing's classified as a tank, meaning he's a frontline brawler, built to take hits and protect his team. Okay, so Marvel Rivals, the Thing abilities and stats. The Thing is all about durability, hard-hitting melee attacks. Here's a full breakdown of his abilities. His passive ability is a solid as a rock, grants him immunity to knockbacks and other displacement effects. Okay, so obviously his passive ability, like Invisible Woman or anyone does that little force push type of thing, you can't move him, right? So he's vulnerable to that type of thing, right? Rock, paper, scissor type of thing, right? Primary attack is the combination punch, a series of quick, powerful punches that dish out consistent melee damage. Okay, Thunderbolt punch, a devastating charge punch that deals heavy damage to enemies in its path. You've got the Furious Charge, okay? Rushes forward, scooping up enemies in his way and slamming them down at the end of the charge. That's pretty cool. So he does like a football charge, which I think if we talked about like characters seeming the same, if they ever bring Juggernaut into this mix, I feel like that's exactly, he would have the exact same ability, but just done in a slightly different way, which I think is fine, right? Which I think is fine. Battlefield support, he leaps towards a teammate, reducing income damage to both him and the ally. That's nice. So he basically a human shield, which is nice. The ultimate is the slam moment, okay? It unleashes a powerful shockwave, knocking enemies into the air and dealing massive area of damage. So that's interesting as well. His team-up ability is with Hulk, allows him to perform a fastball special where the Thing can throw Wolverine at enemies for a surprise attack. So he does the same thing. See, this is exactly the same. Same thing. He can throw Wolverine into the mix. Okay. The Thing release date in Marvel Rivals is available on Marvel Rivals on February 21st, launching alongside the Human Torch in mid-Season 1 update. The best part is it's completely free for all players, so you can start playing with him right away. So let's go to the patch notes now, which is done here. I have to add him to the thing, is Dialbos. Is that how you pronounce his name? All right, here we go. Let's listen to him. Make sure it's at normal speed.
Yo, what's going on, guys? DeWobs here. Welcome back to a brand new video. We have the early patch notes for the mid-season update for Marvel Rivals. Now, these were translated from Chinese and they were really awkward, but luckily XOX Leak did put them into much easier to follow along terms. I did record a video before this, but I've re-recorded it because it's way easier to understand this one. So let's look at the patch notes because they are changing abilities and team-ups, and in Season 2, the team-ups will be changed. So, for the Vanguards, Venom's friends...
Right, so the team-ups that you see right now for the next 6 weeks, those are all change when Season 2 comes out.
Frenzied Arrival has been changed from vertical knockback to inwards knockback at a 75-degree angle, and his ultimate will now cost 2,500 instead of 2,008.
Venom's Arrival has changed from vertical knockbacks to inwards knockback of 75-degree angle. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I mean, obviously the angle of what they get hit by. Ultimate cost is 2,800 to 2,500.
800, so almost a 10% decrease, meaning you'll get it faster. Captain America, they've added the ability to use Absolute Will for defense during jumping. Basically, you can use your shield while in the air.
Okay.
Also, Vibranium Energy Saw. Projectile speed has been increased from 60 meters per second to 80 meters per second, and the ejection speed after a hit has been increased from 100 to 150 meters per second.
That's a good upgrade. That's a good upgrade for Captain America.
So it's much faster, and apparently they're just making Captain America a lot better to use. Like, he just feels...
I liked using him already, so I'm excited for Captain America being buffed a little bit here.
a lot better while playing him. Thor, they've removed the cooldown after the Rune Awakening skill duration ends. So after Rune Awakening, you no longer have to wait. Even if you got all 3 of your charges back and you want to pop it again, you used to have a cooldown.
Come on, Jay
now
Breezy.
you won't
Come
have
on,
a
LNE.
cooldown. You can pop it
Wins
again
out.
and just go crazy with it, which is pretty nice. It's good. It's a better quality of life change, really. For Groot, his walls can now be placed up to 18 meters instead of 15 meters, so just further away. Again, nice changes. Then for Magneto, his primary fire now does 40 explosive damage instead, and
That's good. That's a good upgrade for Magneto.
for his metallic curtain, the enemy
And the funny part, not the funny part, the nice part is they're not super overcompensating. You know what I mean? They're just slightly changing the...
energy cost is 65 instead of 50, and the maximum duration is 1.5 seconds. So basically, you can't hold your shield out for as long.
More damage, right? More damage, and then less of a shield, which I think people are going to be upset about because people are saying that Magneto's shield should last longer, but we'll see.
Doctor Strange's base HP has been nerfed from 650 down to 600, and that is the Vanguard changes. Next up, we have a lot of duelist changes. So Iron Fist, his base HP has been increased from 250 to 300. Then for Jeet Kune
That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Do, his first, second, and fifth attack damage has been reduced from 32 to 30. His third and fourth damage reduced from 16 to 15. And his sixth damage reduced from 55 to 50. So they've decreased his damage, but they've made him much more survivable. So the cooldown time for each hit has been increased from 1 second to 1.5 seconds.
Okay.
And the damage of each hit of the Sun Punch has been decreased from 9.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're doing more time and then less damage. So they kind of nerfed him.
19 to 10. So like I said, less damage. However, he's more survivable because he now gets bonus HP provided with his Harmony Recovery up to 150. No longer just a 50 bonus health increase, 150 health increase, taking him all the way to 450. But this HP will last 1 second.
Interesting. So they made him a little bit more tanky now.
And then start decaying at 25 health per second. Also, his Dragon's Defense HP converted from blocks has now been increased from 150 to 200. So he's going to be a lot more tanky, but do less damage, which I think is more balanced. For Mr. Fantastic, his flexible elongation, the spell field has been increased from 2.5 to 5 meters. And it now knocks enemies outwards after landing. So when you pull yourself to enemies within a 5-meter radius will now be pushed away. The charge has been increased from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. So the cooldown's been slightly increased. For his ultimate, the damage has been increased from 50 to 70.
Okay, so his ultimate ability, is that his ultimate ability, right? The bounce? 50 to 70. So he's doing more damage, but if he doesn't hit people, then, you know, he loses it faster anyway, so.
And it now takes longer to charge the ultimate, and they've added damage fall
Okay, so he's going to do more damage, but they're going to make it cost more.
off. So damage starts decaying at 3 meters to a max of 50 damage at 10 meters, which I think is okay. Iron Man, his Unibeam damage has been increased from 120 to 1.
Oh, the Unibeam. That's a lot of people don't use the Unibeam for Iron Man. That's a big increase there. 120 to 140.
140 per second, and in the armor overdrive version, it's increased from 180 to 190 per second. So they've made the beam even stronger for Hawkeye,
which is fine because I think that would make people start to use it more because it was underwhelming before. I'll be honest.
His base health has been increased by 25 to 275. His explosive arrows damage have been decreased from 20 to 15. However, the explosive damage has been increased from 25 to 32. His Crescent Slash cooldown has been decreased from 15 to 12 seconds, and his ultimate, his bow charge speed is accelerated, his draw speed increased from 1.2 to 1.35. So in his ultimate, he can shoot...
That might make him a little bit less annoying.
Well, not way faster, but a bit faster. For Storm, her wind blade damage at 30 meters has been reduced from 70 to 60%. Her speed boost for herself has been decreased from 16 to 12%, but the speed boost for her team is now 10% instead of 8.
2% higher.
Also, the Goddess boost, self-boost damage decreased from 30 to 25%. Okay, this Star-Lord one's wrong. It's his movement ability has been buffed, so instead of having 1,200 fuel in his tank, he essentially has 1,800.
Okay.
So he's got a 50% increase in his fuel, so he can actually fly for more periods of time.
So he gets around faster. More annoying.
They had this one wrong. Scarlet Witch, her ultimate, 100 bonus HP is now applied when she pops her ult. So
she is so annoying, and now they gave her 100 bonus HP when she has her ult. So it's going to be a little bit harder for her to die, meaning she's going to get her ultimate off more.
A lot better at surviving when doing her ult. So definitely be careful of Scarlet Witch in the next half of the season. But this health also decays at 50 per second after the ult ends. So you keep...
Because right now, every time she's, when she starts to scream her ultimate, people would take her out, and now they're not going to be able to. She's going to get off her ultimate a lot faster. So when she comes in, everyone's going to have to focus on her.
For a couple of seconds. Spider-Man's web shooter's recharge time has been decreased
Bilbo, what's going on?
from 3 seconds down to 2.5 seconds. For Moon Knight, his ultimate's Khonshu's fist speed has been reduced, and they've corrected the damage logic. So they've removed 75 damage from being in the middle of the spell, and each fist now does 150 damage. So basically, they've just corrected the way the damage works. It seemed like it was doing double damage before, I think. Now it's going to actually do it properly, and...
They're talking about his ult, right? The fist speed is reduced, so they come down slower. Wait, no, reduced. Reduced. So it's coming in faster or slower? The damage logic removes 75 damage from being in the middle of the spell field. Each fist now does 150. up from 75. So they come in, the fist speed's reduced. So it's going slower. Is that correct? It's going slower, but they do more damage. When you say speed reduced, I feel like it's faster, but it's supposed to be slower, right? Slower, but doing more damage.
Yeah, it should just work a lot better, but it's still going to be really strong. Black Widow, her rifle capacity has been increased from 8 to 15, so she's got more ammo, and her ultimate, the slow effect, has been reduced from 80 to 55.
Why would you reduce her slow effect from 80 to 55? She's like the worst character. They gave her more bullets, which is fine. But why would you reduce her slowdown effect from 80 to 55? She does nothing.
5%. So it won't slow you as much, which is better. Also, they're adding a new effect on hit enemies with focusing hole, but they didn't really mention much about that.
That's weird. All right, so maybe that new focusing hole added a new effect. Maybe it makes her better in some way, shape, or form. We'll have to see.
So I don't know what that's going to be. For magic, the Eldritch Whirl damage has been increased from 45 to 40, and the Demon's Rage damage has been decreased from 80 to 72. The ultimate cost has been reduced from 3,700 to 3,400. So you get your ultimate a bit faster, but do slightly less damage with your attacks. Hela, the Soul Drainer damage fall off at 30 meters has changed from 70 to 80%. Honestly, I didn't know what this meant either. Then we have the strategist. For Adam Warlock, his primary fire damage has been increased from 55 to 60, and the 60% damage fall off at 40 meters up from 50%. So there's a slightly higher damage fall off by the sounds of it, but he does more damage.
He does
Soul
more.
Bond.
Adam Warlock, don't sleep on him. He's actually a really good character to use. And now with this buff, I think a lot more. You're going to see Adam Warlock a little bit more.
Healing has been increased from 10 per second to 15 per second. Cloak and Dagger's ultimate has been completely changed, so it's now takes longer to get the ultimate. And also, you can no longer stack the ultimate. So you can't stack it. Only one lane works at a time to give.
Can't stack. Oh, you can't overlap over your thing to get the damage. I see what they're saying.
Whatever it is, 200 healing per second. The dash lanes also have been reduced from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. And the pause between each dash has been reduced from 1 to 0.67. So basically, she won't pause for as long, which I think is good because it means Magneto will have a harder time, killing her during the ultimate, which I think is fair since the ultimate has been nerfed a great deal. Also, her Terror Cape, the vulnerability on enemies has been increased from 20 to 28%. So you do a bit more damage to those people. Luna Snow, her ult takes longer to get. Fair enough. Loki, his ult takes longer to get. And he's got an increase in ammo by 2. For Mantis, her ultimate bonus HP has been reduced from 100 to 75.
Yeah, she's a little OP, so they kind of reduced her a little bit.
And finally, Invisible Woman's ult has also been increased, so it takes longer to get. So a lot of changes there. We also have the team-ups. Now, I don't know if these team-up changes are coming in the mid-season. I think they are. So the Gamma team-up, so this is for Hulk and Iron Man. The damage has been reduced for the Unibeam. So basically, you won't have as much of a damage boost, but obviously, Iron Man's Unibeam is getting buffed anyway. Also, Hulk HP gain from being an anchor has been reduced from 150 to 100. For Psionic Disc.
See, I think this right here is a bigger problem of nerfing and changing because I think you can nerf and buff the characters all you want, and the team-ups is what really makes the difference in this game compared to other games. And if you start to mess with the team-ups a little bit too much, it could throw off the balance, and then people won't use the team-ups. You know what I'm saying? You want to incentivize the team-ups, but when you start messing with the team-ups, in my opinion, I think it starts to mess with the actual balance of the game because there is that rock, paper, scissors, but the dynamite that you throw into rock, paper, scissors is the team-ups. And if you start messing with the team-ups, then it starts to mess with the integrity of why it's not overpowered with each of the characters. Because if someone's OP by themselves and you have a team-up that's the counter to that, then that's king.
The rewind ability for Magic and Psylocke and Black Panther, the teleport time has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, so it only rewinds you 3 seconds. However, the bonus HP conversion has been increased from 0.5 to 0.8, so you'll gain more health back. Full Moon. So this is the Cloak and Dagger team up with Moon Knight, and basically it will now have a new effect where it heals you for 25 healing per second. So when you're inside that, you will heal. That is honestly insane. We have the Symbiotic Bond. So for Venom, Spider-Man, and Penny, So the skill time is reduced from 4 seconds to 1 second. For Penny, it's 2 seconds instead. So basically, it only lasts literally a second for Spider-Man, which is crazy. The 50% damage reduction has been removed, though, and there's now complete invincibility. And then we have Frozen Chi. Healing increased from 50 to 75, and the enemy slow effect increased from 20 to 30. So there you go. That is the new patch notes. Obviously, they're early. I don't know when they
so there you go. I think it's some good stuff that they're updating there for the game. I'm excited to play Thing and Human Torch. We already know Human Torch's abilities. I'm excited to play them. That's going to get me back in the game to mess around with them, to, you know, just get back in, because I've kind of fell off the wagon right now just because I've had my fill. I'm like 7 pages deep, almost 8 pages in to the season pass, and I kind of stopped about a week ago. I come in every like 3 days and start playing. So I'm looking forward to these changes, and I'm looking forward to the new characters being implemented as well. All right, let me scroll back up because I saw some of you guys talking. Winzo says, morning 30. Have you been playing? I've been playing Avowed Early Access Game Pass on PC, and it's been really good. Definitely finishes this with these reviews, because nothing that I said that when I played has happened at all. Yeah, I don't think Skill Up doesn't usually do like spoilers or anything like that, so I think we should be safe watching his video for any kind of spoilers. What's going on? L Mode says, got some the first Descendant rewards to get them is onto Avowed. To get them is onto Avowed. What, playing Avowed gets you stuff for the first Descendant, Mo? Is that what you're saying? Come on, Jay Breezy. Roadmap. Iron Man gets great buffs. Iron Fist is going to be able to survive more, but his damage will be less. Right, so he won't be as a pain in the ass. But he's also more of a tank now, which is fine. More of an annoyance, right? So he goes in line with like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's fast, and he's an annoyance if you have a good Spider-Man. So if you have a good Iron Fist, he'll be good, but yet not as deadly. Let me see here. Because yeah, they only used against flyers. You don't get the explosion damage from your main attack. Come on, Bilbo. Yeah, I'm gonna play Avowed tonight, Roadkill. Tonight at 8 p.m. we'll start Avowed. What's going on, Argus? All right, let's go. The second story, which is Grand Theft Auto. Okay, Grand Theft Auto. Rumor, GTA 6 could include user-generated content similar to Roblox and Fortnite. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, have conversations, give you my thoughts and opinions, and then we go to chat to get your thoughts and opinions on the topics that we're talking about. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right. All right. So, rumor, GTA 6 could include user-generated content similar to Roblox and Fortnite. First of all, before we even get into this, before I even read the article, if this is true, this is next level. I mean, think about how much money Grand Theft Auto 5 makes right now with the content they have. Okay? Now, with Fortnite and Roblox, if you could start creating your own missions or maps or races and stuff like that within the world of GTA, that's gonna be huge. Now, obviously, you can do that right now inside of Grand Theft Auto. People make their own races and stuff like that, but this is gonna be like next level type of stuff. Maybe kind of role play, because they have the role play. They're gonna have the role play inside the game. Now, people can make their own role play kind of scenarios or whatnot. But let's see what they're talking about. So a new rumor suggests that Rockstar could currently be planning to allow for users to generate content to be available in Grand Theft Auto 6. User-generated content is very popular in the live service games such as Fortnite and Roblox. And it seems that Rockstar wants to try a similar strategy with the upcoming open-world game, possibly making Grand Theft Auto 6 online mode even more popular. Can't you do that already, though? I've seen people in Grand Theft Auto make like crazy tracks and stuff like that. Isn't that already in the game? Or is it mods that people are doing? Okay, Grand Theft Auto 6 was officially announced by Rockstar in 2023, showcased Jason and Lucia as the two protagonists in Vice City game setting in Grand Theft Auto 6. Trailer has a huge hit with over 220 million fans watching it. However, the fans seen almost no official information about the game since then. Now that the new report of the DigiDay indicates that Rockstar could be planning to allow creators to modify GTA 6, adding their own content to the world, according to the reports, which cite 3 unknown industry insiders, creators could be able to modify the game's assets and environments similar to what's currently being done in games like Fortnite and Roblox. However, the reports are still vague at this point, and it seems that Rockstar's conversation with the creators have been relatively open-ended. So far, also, it's not clear if how creators could benefit from creating content in GTA 6 beyond mere exposure. Oh, I see. So you could do it, but they're saying that you can make it and like sell stuff like Roblox and Minecraft. Is that the way I'm seeing it? Like you can make the stuff inside the game, and they're talking about what people are making in Fortnite where they actually get like paid or they can make stuff like that. Is that what they're talking about? Rockstar could be planning to allow GTA 6 players to make user-generated content. So Rockstar's interest in player-made creations is not exactly new. Back in 2023, Rockstar acquired CFX.RE, a team developer who created role-play servers. There you go. GTA Online and Red Dead Online. Role-playing in GTA 5, very popular. It's likely that the developers see the value in maintaining GTA 6 online mode popularity. This is going to be next level. If you guys ever watched back in like 2015-16, the role-playing that if you were watching Twitch back then, and all that role-playing server that came out, that people where Eli, Sheriff Eli, like blew up. That's how he got his start. Ex-sheriff who then turned into a streamer or just a role player, and then all of a sudden became a streamer, and now he's huge. Like, this is going to be next level when it comes to it. Next level when it comes to the role-playing stuff. Unfortunately, the most information regarding Grand Theft Auto 6 these days, these rumors should be taken with a grain of salt. For now, Rockstar recently started Discord server GTA 6, which will be used as a new channel to get news from the game and could mean that there's also more information about the title coming out soon. Yeah, they just opened up the Discord server, so I would assume that they're going to start saying something sooner rather than later. GTA 6 still doesn't have an official release date, but it's expected to be out on Xbox Series S, X, and PlayStation 5 during the fall. And the PC port does not have a release date yet, but recent rumors indicate that GTA 6 could release for PC in earlier 2026, according to Crosshair Gaming VP Finance Roland Van. In any case, gamers will likely discover console release date soon, as long as the title is not delayed. I don't think they're delaying this. If anything gets delayed, I think it'll be the online mode. I don't think the single player mode. This is going to be huge. This is going to be huge for GTA 6. This is going to be huge for just content creators in general. If you can start implementing and making, that's endless, right? Like, look at what Halo Infinite does with the Forge, or what Minecraft doesn't let you. Well, they do, but like, just think about when people are able to be creative. They make their own content, right? Look at what Minecraft has done. Look at what Fortnite has done. Look at what Roblox has done. Look at even what No Man's Sky has done, where people can take and just create within the realm that they are. Now, if you can make user-generated content and then people can start playing it, downloading it, selling it, that would be huge. But I don't know if they'll go. I don't know if Rockstar or 2K will go the route where they're letting people make content that they can sell. I think they would just let them make content, right? I don't think they'll pay out. I don't think they're going to do what like a Bethesda does with Creation Engine and stuff like that, but we'll see. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think this means for Grand Theft Auto 6 if they let it open up? I think the user-generated content is going to be bigger inside of the role-playing area than it would be for like making your own worlds. But again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. I mean, 130,000 people watching on Twitch every day. People love the roleplay on Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, it's huge. It's insane. Titan says Rockstar figured out how to monetize roleplay. Argus says, yes, the culture and the streamer around GTA Online are why we don't like GTA Online, nor do you like the people who play or enjoy it. Not what I want in my GTA, and not who I want in my GTA. Come on, Buckalorian. Yeah, Halo Forge mode. I like doing the heist. The heists were, I love doing the heists. Those were fantastic. Imagine, though, if you could set up your own heists or your own missions within the world. That's just endless content. Endless content where they give you the tools and you can set up the parameters and have other people try to go and do those missions. That would be big. Again, making the tools, put it inside the game and give the tools to the people instead of making your developers make the stuff. They could be verified developers that make missions and stuff, but you can also make missions from the user generated stuff. That would be huge. Eclipse says, but you don't have to play that. You can also play the single player game for the people that want to play it. And then if you're surrounding like Travis, when you say something like that, right? Yeah. Like if you don't want to play the role playing stuff, you don't have to. You can just play the single player stuff. Hilo says, RP is huge. I've been watching Bay Area Bugs on YouTube for years and still watching his new uploads. Bro's an OG role player. I stopped watching back in like 2019. So it's been about a couple years because I never really watch. I never really go back to Twitch to watch the role playing stuff, but I used to watch that stuff all the time. I love the role playing stuff. Great. Argus says, I'd rather see it burn and go away forever than give it to anyone else, especially those people. What are you talking about, Argus? Are you talking about just the role playing servers for them? Eclipse says, yeah, the heists are awesome. I got so good. I could do them by myself. I used to love like the rob the bank and then get to the airport and then take off in the plane. I used to love doing those things. Those are great. It took them a long time to put some of the heists in. It took them a long time to put some of the heists in. Argus says, I know I don't have to. I still don't want them to have what they want either. I don't like those people as human beings. I'm confused. I'm lost. It's gone completely over my head. You don't like the people that are playing role playing? Is that what you're talking about, Argus? Windows says 30. If GTA 6 literally doesn't have role playing exactly like it has been in GTA 5, I think that's a big mistake. Even if it's not at launch, then exactly when PC releases. I think. Well, I said this before they even bought the company. I knew they were going to put role play on the next Grand Theft Auto. It was too big back in 2016, 2017. Okay. To not put it in the game. They bought the company. They're going to put it in the game. Now, how they're going to implement it and stuff like that, that's going to be the scummy part. Like if they start monetizing certain things of it to do the role playing, or if it's just they control it and they put it inside. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. Like I'm being hyperbolic, but that's generally how I feel for most part of the less extreme extent. Yeah, but I don't. Okay, explain to me, Argus, because I missed it and I'm trying to scroll, but I can't see it. What don't you like that what Grand Theft Auto is doing that you're like hyperbolic about what's happening here? GTA doesn't need to become about the online. That shit should be a whole separate download of the game. That isn't GTA. It is. I'm confused. If you buy the game, you don't have to implement in the online at all. When GTA 5 first came out, it was just part of the game. Right? This is what I said that Starfield and Hogwarts Legacy should do, where you have the single player campaign of it, and then if you want to play online, you just go online and play, but you don't have to. Titan says 2K going to make roleplay subscription, hoping it's free. Look, they're going to make a lot of money if they make it subscription, but God, that's a stupid move. I think it's a stupid move. If they make a subscription, I think they would rather sell like shirts and shark cards like they've been doing. If they do a subscription model for role playing, that is going to be scummy. They will get pushed back on that big time. Eclipse says, yeah, the online is a separate download if you want it to be. Yeah, I don't understand. It's always been that way. You don't have to play the online at all. True that, Argus. I hope that they wait a couple of weeks to launch online like they did with 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, so I'll have time to play the story mode. Yeah, they've done that every time in 4 and 5, okay, and Red Dead Redemption. They didn't put the online right away, right? They want people to buy the game. They want people to pay through the campaign, and then about a month later is when they drop the online. That's what they did before. I don't think they do anything different. You want people to engage with the content that you're making. Again, the online's always been an opt-in, not forced upon you. I'm pretty sure it was later than that, Kylo. I think it was later than that. Let's see. The release date was September 17th, 2013. It was 2 weeks. You're correct. October 1st of 2013. Yeah, it was time. You had time to play the single player game is what I'm saying. So you are correct. It was about 2 weeks afterwards. Yeah. Argus says, I don't want to be coupled to a main game or accessible to the main game either. I don't want GTA franchise to become about the online, which is already is. The dungeons that the play are. So, okay, so your complaint, Argus, is you don't want them to just make the DLC and stuff. You want DLC for the main campaign is what is what I think you're saying. The type of people don't even like real life. I'm not interested in giving them what they want. I think you just have a problem with online and Grand Theft Auto. Titan says, seeing that GTA 5 was so bugged, it's delayed after launch. 4 was delayed when they did multiplayer. Then the online was, I want to say it took about a month to fix. I 100% GTA 5 in 7 days, so it was good to go for online. So your complaint, Argus, is the same complaint that people have for like they want an Elder Scrolls 6, but because Elder Scrolls Online exists and it was so popular, they never made that Elder Scrolls 6. It got delayed. So what you're saying is Grand Theft Auto 6 would be here sooner if it wasn't for the online, and you don't like the online because it stops them from putting DLC inside the game. Argus says, but I ultimately think that GTA Online is going to be poison and eventually eradicate the main game experience. I mean, but isn't that how do I put it, right? So let me try to compare this to like YouTube, right? If a YouTuber decides to make content on one subject and that subject starts to take off and the content creator just keeps making content on that, that's what the customers want, right? Because if the videos that they make is being engaged with, it's the same thing as Grand Theft Auto. If Rockstar makes a single player game and the single player game sells 200 million copies over the last 10 11 years, okay, now if the customers keep paying online and they keep buying the stuff for the online mode, shark cards and whatnot, they're doing what their customers want, right? They're making money off the thing. They made the money from the people that bought the game, which you can buy and play. And if you never ever get DLC again from that game, you still got the game what it is. You see what I'm saying? 30, here's the most important question. Will Vice City still be better than Los Santos? I mean, Vice City is going to be the whole entire state of Florida, supposedly, Argus says not necessarily. That's what I did with GTA 5. I was going to get single-player DLC, but online ruined all that. Sure, I totally understand about the DLC stuff. And I agree with you there as far as the DLC not coming because the online. But if the customer base is that's what they're playing, then that's what they get. Titan says, makes no sense if you don't want online. Online makes so much money for Rockstar. Right. And that's exactly why they kept doing it. They had DLC planned, but then they were like, we're making way more money than this, that we don't have to do that. Argus says, well, my dislike of the online isn't that it's a bad mode other than the microtransactions. I don't like people who play it and the type of people they are, and that's what makes me not like online. They're ass. I'm so confused. So you don't like the people that are playing online in the online world. So you're okay with the online, but you're not okay with the people that play online because they're assholes. So you're saying, okay, so when you played Red Dead Redemption online or when you played Grand Theft Auto 5 online, you would get on and then people would just come over and kill you and whatnot. And that's what turned you off about it. I get the business of it, and that's inevitable, just expressing my dislike of it. Or pros and cons, I guess. Yeah, for them, not for us, right? It's more pros for the company than cons. For us, I think it's more cons than pros, but it all depends on what parts you go to, Travis. All depends on what parts you go to. Papa, what's going on? He says, is it because people are like players in Rust? I used to always go into my own private server or online. You know what I mean? Like if people were bugging me or whatever, I would just go to my own thing and then invite friends and come in. I like the online to play the co-op mode. I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool that I could make my own server, make my own world, have people invite in, and then we go do the heists and stuff like that. I thought that's fine. I didn't really like the whole open world and then I'm driving and then someone comes over and just fucks with me because they can see me on the map. I hated that. I hated that in Red Dead Redemption. Argus says, correct. I don't like them as human beings, Mike. And no, not because they're assholes. I'm an asshole. They're annoying fucking people. Yeah, I get what you're saying now. I understand what you're saying now. You're saying that the people that you go into the game with, what ruins it for you. And because there's assholes in the online space, they keep getting rewarded because they keep engaging with the online, and you want to play the single-player game, which you can, but you want more content for it. But you can't get more content for it because the assholes that are playing online are ruining what the game is overall. Is that in a nutshell? Eclipse says, I mean, you can play the online by yourself. You can also be on your own server. It's pretty much like playing the single-player game, and if you want someone to join you, like the friend... Right, that's the way I played it, Eclipse. That's the way I played it. Play in your own lobbies, find like-minded people and play with. Really, you can do that. Yep, that's what I used to do. Exactly, it's like playing Grand Theft Auto co-op. Buckalorian says, there were plenty of ways to do it online solo lobby, just with friends. I used to do it all the time. All the time. Asking to go online with a... The best is Red Dead Redemption 2, right? It's literally anarchy. You come in, and I hated this. I was live on air when we did this, okay? We were playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I went into a normal server, and it's like the Wild West out there. Literally. Figuratively and literally, it was the Wild West. You would get in, and someone would kill you, and then you would die, and then it would spawn you just real close by, and you would come back, and you have the same fight over and over. And I was like, I said this in Sea of Thieves, I said this in Red Dead Redemption 2. I wish that whoever won the fight, they got kicked to a different server. That way, they're not just coming back and keep killing you over and over and over and over. Okay, but there's lots of different things that would happen there, right? Because that guy's in the server with somebody else, and that person invites them back to the server. Then they find you. You can see each other on the map. So I was like, why? Why can you see me on the map? Why would you need to see me on the map? The only people that should see me on the map were the people that I was in a group with. Everybody else shouldn't be able to see me. You could see where all the people were. So there's a mentality of people that would come into the game and go, oh, there's a guy in that city. And they would go over to that city and then just fuck with you for the entire time because they're lonely. They're just lonely people. They're miserable people that are lonely that want to fuck with people because that's their life, right? And I totally understand where you're coming from that point. Argus says, chat, I'm a fucking bully. I'm an asshole. I'm a toxic. And the people I'm saying I don't like are soy-ass, annoying personalities like bitches who I don't want in my presence or have even to see when. Jesus, I'm not present. And that GTA Online community, I watch streamers making videos, and these dumbass people that don't normally cover it. The same toxicity that you're talking about, Argus, is what happened in Sea of Thieves. Same exact thing. Same exact thing. One X Factor. Yeah, if you compare DLC for GTA 4 and single player versus the GTA 5, it's a drastic drop-off. Of course. It's a drastic drop-off because they love making money, and they were making a shit ton of money. If I can make minimal viable product and then put those DLCs, like for instance, they have San Andreas Mercenaries and whatnot. Okay. If I can make content and just minimal viable product, put it online and make a shit ton of money, or spend the next 6 months making a DLC, voice acting, all of this stuff, and make maybe half a million, or I'm sorry, half a billion, what do you think they're going to do? Something that I can add in every 12 weeks or something I can add in every 12 months? And that's what it is. Again, the content creator on YouTube is going to make the same content over and over if the consumers are watching their content. Grand Theft Auto or any company is in that same ballpark. If people are engaging with the content they're making, why make the other content when they can make more money off the minimal viable product? Argus says the culture, behavior, the attitude surrounding GTA Online on top of the massive microtransaction support makes me disgusting to me. They got no girl. They got nobody. That's why they're there. You know? I can't imagine someone waking up that has a lot of things to do be like, I'm going to log in today. I'm just going to fuck with people all day. I mean, I get it for like a couple of minutes or so. Maybe you find somebody and you mess with them. But for someone to just do it for themselves, like I get streamers doing it for entertainment purposes. But if you're a person sitting by yourself doing it at home, you're only entertaining to yourself. You know what I mean? That's just it's weird to me. Argus says, see, I don't bully people with gameplay, Mike. Besides with my clan and Ark Survival, I'll have a solidarity with my fellow gamers in the gameplay. If it's chatting with them as a person, I take issues. Go on, Crowded. Did I miss the big topics? No, we did Marvel Rivals, went over the patch notes with that, and now we're talking about GTA, bringing stuff in like what Fortnite does and Roblox does, where they user content, created content. So I don't bully people and stuff like Sea of Thieves or anything like that. Yeah, well, what I'm saying is there's people that bully people, right? They just shit on people all the time, right? Like, for instance, I played Sea of Thieves with my son, and he was at like 6 years old at the time. And we were playing, and I'm in the game talking to someone. They're attacking us. I'm like, hey, buddy. I was like, can you leave us alone? I was like, I'm just teaching my son how to play, blah, 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 because we're in the open world, right? And he didn't give a shit. They just kept attacking us and killing us. Not once, right? I just die. So we die. Then they find us again. They do the same thing again. That's the type of person I don't like to play with. And I'm like, well, I'm going to leave, right? And that's why I like the Safer Seas mode that they added for Sea of Thieves, because then I can go and play with my son and have a good time with my son without being shit on by someone that's a loser, just shitting on us, even though I'm saying, hey, can you leave us alone, right? Like, take the gold, take whatever, just leave us alone. Right? But someone will be like, oh, it's Sea of Thieves. I'm like, yeah, cool. I can actually have a conversation with someone and be like, hey, I appreciate you attacking us and stuff. I'm trying to teach the ropes. Get good. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Shit like that. What's going on, Mr. Luke? John says, if you're not complaining about being grifted, what are you complaining about? He just doesn't like the whole business model of what it is. Travis says, here's a crazy idea. You ready, 30? I'm ready. I'm ready. Add a toggle PvP on and off option. Boom. So they had that. They had that. In Red Dead Redemption, you could play where you put it on where you can't get killed by people. 100% they already had that. Luke says, I couldn't agree. I mean, nothing wrong with a bit of banter, but going out of your way can fuck off. Yeah, that's exactly right. Right? If you're going out of your way to fuck with me, like, first time, cool. Right? But if you keep coming back, you're doing it maliciously at that point. Kuda Papa says, all of a sudden, Davy Jones appears and takes the other player to the depths. That would be awesome. But most of the time, you can do that. Look, I have no problem with PvP games. Like, here, New World, right? New World, at least I don't know if they changed it, but New World, if I was in town and I wanted to partake in PvP, I flag up for PvP and I walk out the gates, and then if anyone fucks with me, I've opted in for PvP, okay? If I don't want to opt in, I opt out, okay? of PvP, and I walk out in the world and no one can fuck with me, right? And that's what I think more games should be. But here's the thing. A lot of people, and we can get in a deeper conversation about this, okay? People that want to play PvP, okay, are upset that people don't want to play PvP, right? But they're upset because these people that don't want to play PvP, these people want to shit on. Because if they don't shit on the people that don't want to play PvP, then the people that want to play PvP shit on the people that want to play PvP because they're not as good as these people playing PvP. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So these people need to shit on the lower people because these people up here shit on them. And they don't want to fight them. They want to fight on someone else to feel better about themselves. And that's exactly what they do. There's patents filed for this. Call of Duty did this before they got bought out by Microsoft, right? If they take a gun, they put you in a match, you shit on people with this gun, and they're like, hey, you like this gun? You're like, I've been getting killed by this gun. They buy the gun, then they put them in the lobby to shit on other people so they feel better about themselves because they bought the gun that makes them kill faster. They put them in a lobby. They start killing people. And that's what it is. And then these people either they go fuck off or they also buy the gun. And that's the way they've manipulated people to engage with the content, right? They're like, oh, I'm getting killed by this guy. He's killing me over and over. He's using the gun. Well, maybe if I get that gun, maybe I'll be better type of stuff. Argus says, I think GTA Online is shit. The community and the people that like it are shot for enjoying or shit for enjoying it. And I think it makes GTA worse. Those people who play online have personalities I dislike. But you cannot partake in that, though, Argus. I think the single-player aspect of the game is good. You're just upset because of the online. They're not making DLC. And you think the people online are just bad in general, and you don't want to play that, which you can make private servers, though. Travis says, I hate PvP and non-PvP games. Just let me choose to opt out and no issue. Opt in, you mean? You should always be able to opt in. I don't want to opt out. The default should be not in PvP. And if you want to be in PvP, opt in. Luke says, full-on bullying. Yeah. And then they nerf the gun, and the new OP gun comes out. Cycle continues. Absolutely. That's exactly what happens. Just beat Indiana Jones with the game. Nice. Like the Dark Zone and Division. I like the Division, but the Division people would just sit around and they would just murder you. They would get higher up, and they just wait for newer people to come in and just murder you, and it made it unenjoyable. And then the people complain because they have no one to kill. You see what I'm saying? This is why I like PvE, because there's that other entity of the NPCs can fuck with you as they're fucking with the other people. So it kind of gives you a distraction. Sarge says it's all a power trip. And this is why a lot of people mentality when they play a game, if they can't pick on someone, they get bored. And if they get bored, they move on to the next game type of thing. Like, I technically can, but I still have to see the shit everywhere online. I don't want it to exist at all, so I don't have to see that crap and hear those people. Obviously, not going to happen. But why do you watch that stuff? Here's my question to you, Argus. Why, okay, so you're saying that technically you can see the shit everywhere online. But if you watch that stuff, it's going to feed you more of that stuff. If you don't want to watch that stuff, then don't watch that stuff, and then it won't pop up on the line for you. I don't see any of this stuff. Now that I'm bringing it up, it'll probably pop up in my feed. Roic says that's one of the things I really hated about Destiny and how they put weeps behind PvP or weapons behind PvP. I always ask for Destiny to separate PvP from PvE. Like if you're gonna nerf a gun, nerf it just for PvP, but leave it alone for PvE. Papa says 30 frames per second game or first person shooter game gives you 8 average, which is a TTK of 001 because of 30mm deplete uranium around, and now everyone is buying it for PvP. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what happens. Sarge says in Division they would just guard the entrances of the Dark Zone. Mercs whoever entered over and over. Yeah, so you could never even get in. So they would get the kills. They're OP. They would murder you, and you couldn't get in. And it was dumb. It was dumb. Which ruined it for... That was Division 1. And then Division 2, they tried to fix it. Right? They had a lower level DZ and a higher level DZ. But people just didn't give a shit at that point. Because why? The toxic part of the people were like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. Argus says, I don't. All the streamers I watch that don't play or talk about GTA still eventually bring it up and talk about it at some point. And it's because that some of the people I play with do too. It's obviously have different opinions on GTA Online. No, I get it, but I'm saying, like, if you're watching someone that plays GTA Online, then you're going to see or hear that stuff. And if you don't like hearing or seeing that stuff, then you see what I'm saying? You still have an option not to watch those people or not, because if they're talking about it, that means they play it. And if they play it or they're in that circle, you're going to see more of that stuff. Luke says, I fast travel to other entrances and then creep around. You're a solo player in at that moment, Luke, right? I hated it. And again, Sea of Thieves reminds me of this, where I was really good at Sea of Thieves. Very good at being in the sloop and getting around people, and people would try to... In the early days, people weren't as good as they were now. So I could circle around them, and they couldn't ever catch me. I would fuck with them and whatnot in Sea of Thieves. But I hate... If I was in the dark zone and putting in an hour, getting all the stuff and all those things, and then all of a sudden a group comes along and just murders me and takes all my shit. And it's like, I have nothing to show for it, right? So it decentivizes me to go back in the dark zone. Sea of Thieves, same thing. Before they added all this stuff where you sail and dig up stuff and get XP, you got nothing. You got nothing unless you got the gold and then brought it back to the actual port. So you would be out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're bringing back your stuff, and then someone shits on you, and you lose everything. And it's like, what? I get no XP, I get no money, I get no gold, and they changed it in Sea of Thieves, where now as I'm traveling, I'm unlocking a battle pass type of stuff, and they're giving me gold, and they're giving me things, and they're giving me... So it doesn't waste my time. Respect the player's time. PvP, in my opinion, shits over in games like Division, Sea of Thieves, any time of PvP where you can't opt out, shits on your time. So let's say you couldn't opt out in New World. You went out and let's say you chopped down 1,000 trees. You had all that wood. Someone comes up to you, punches you, kills you, takes all your shit. You would be pissed. You'd be like, I just chopped down 3 hours worth of trees so I could do something, and I lost it all because someone was just whatever, right? That would piss you off. That would piss you off. I think people that enjoy electricity are pieces of shit and shouldn't be named anymore because it ruins fire. Yeah. Argus says, I saw his first, Mike. That's what led me to the dislike it. Mr. Luke says, a group of up with the rest of the DZ and then team up on the dicks that jumped us all. Yeah, but that means you have to talk and communicate with other people in the game, which you could do 100%. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to be on that that side of the giving end, not the receiving end. You know what I mean? But maliciously going over and over to the same person, doing it again and again and again, that's wrong. Eclipse says, I mean, GTA is a cult phenomenon. Like the biggest thing in gaming. Like everyone and their mother plays it. So, of course, you're going to hear about it. And you know why, because of online. Travis says, 30, you ready for season of Division 3? I know you can't wait to spend hours and restart every year. Yeah, no. We'll see what happens with Division 3. I'll definitely play it for the single player or the co-op stuff so we can play through the campaign. Jason says, where's Krabsy? He needs to defend GTA. The DZ is the way that much of the risk, unless I went with the full team. This is why I think one of the best game modes, Mr. Luke, if you played Division 1, is the snow mode, where everyone it starts the game, and everybody starts at the exact same time. Everybody runs and tries to get to whatever they can get, jump into the DZ, and everyone's fair at that point. I loved it. When you play the regular DZ in the regular game, there'll be people 800 levels higher than you in the DZ that you're going in, that you're first going into. They've been in there for hundreds of hours, and they would just destroy you in seconds. And you're like, how is this fair? How am I supposed to do anything if they're just shitting on me before I can even do anything? And this is why people hack. Yeah, it's a whole cycle. It's a whole cycle. Titan says, I lost 3 hours chopping trees and should have risk carrying loot for 3 hours next time. Yeah, but that's just the thing, though, Titan. If you have an hour to kill or 3 hours to kill, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna get on. I'm working towards a bigger goal, right? Let's say you want to build a house. I don't know. Just pick a game, right? Ark, survival, whatever, right? You're building by yourself. You're coming on. You're like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my only 3 hours that I have for the entire week, right? It doesn't matter if it's 1 hour, if it's 3 hours. You're grabbing your stuff. You're walking back. You're like, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden, a guy comes over to you and just murders your ass and you lose everything. Are you going to go back and chop trees down for another hour? What are you going to do? Chop down a tree, run back to base? Chop down a tree, run back to base? Like, that's not going to happen. In reality, that's not going to happen. It's wrong because we don't find it fun or like happening to us. Right. This is how I sound about Elden Ring. Argus is trying to show me what it's like. Yeah, the survival mode was the best mode. Best mode in Division 1. Yesterday you brought up Elden Ring and no one else brought it up. Now, yeah, well, Travis is definitely hurt by Elden Ring, and that's where I'll leave that. I'm not going to go deeper into that. It hurt him. Apparently, the online is hurt Argus in some way, shape, or form as well. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy for that. See how that conversation, we just went like 40 minutes of just talking about online and how shit it is for different games. That's what I like about this, right? If you guys are new in my channel, we just have conversations. We just bring up things and bounce back and forth with chat, right? So that's how we do the show. I bring up a conversation and it can spin off into something else. It's like when you hang out with your friends, if you're at your house or their house and you're just talking about stuff, just banter between different topics. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Titan says personal vendetta for one game. Online hasn't hurt me, Mike. My dislike for other human beings has less so hurt me. More disgusted me to live cooperative. I mean, but it has hurt you. Grand Theft Auto online with the group, the society on the online games has hurt you. You don't like it. You're obviously disgusted and hate it with a passion. Can't say it hasn't hurt you. 100% it has. You like despise it. Dolphin, what's going on? I love online. Makes me feel like I have friends. And then you shit on them. Yeah. It's like having friends you kick them in the nuts. Yeah, those are good friends to have, right? Argus says true. I hate it with a passion. I can see that. Yeah, no, it's hurt you in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Robert Jones says one could say it butt hurt him. You always have to do a nut check. Yeah. I mean, what are friends for? Like, hey, whoa! That's exactly right. Yeah, let me just tell you something. If someone does that to me, we're not friends. Okay? Someone nut checks me, you are not my friend. Just know you're going to get kicked harder. Okay? If you flick it, I'm punching. You punch, I'm kicking. You kick, I'm using a crowbar. Baseball bat, shovel. Okay, that's what I do. Seems fair? Yeah, what? I mean, that's exactly right. All right, let's go to the next story, which is Phil Spencer here. This is coming from PC Gamer. Okay. If you guys know what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. The little like button helps us out dramatically. As a small content creator, as a small streamer, if you hit that like button, it goes, hey, there's 30 people watching. Hey, he's got 30 likes. Let's push it out to see if some other people can get it. So if you like it, honestly, just give me a second and just hit that like button. All right, so not every story is told in that way, Phil Spencer says, that live service games aren't the answer to every problem, and that smaller games play an important role. Okay? Allow us to also support games that we have begin, middle, and end. You mean single-player games? So live service games are treated like some great and powerful cheat code for generating awesome amounts of shareholder value. It's so great that EA CEO, Android Wilson, could have saved Dragon Age Veilguard from underperforming, and recent GDC survey revealed that a third of AAA developers are working on live service games as we speak. But despite what it may seem, not everyone is interested in seeing these kinds of games dominate the big budget side of the industry. Here's what they don't understand. The problem with live service games is that everyone's trying to make a live service game, and they're trying to do minimal viable product as fast as possible to get it out as fast as possible. Because if you can get it out before the other 10 people can get it out, then you're the first in the market. And if you're first in the market, you could potentially grab that market to stay with you longer. Okay. And when everyone starts to do it and everyone's making a live service game, then nothing's different. They're all the same. Imagine if all games were Madden football. Imagine if all games were a Dark Souls type of game. Don't you think you would kind of get sick and tired of just playing all Madden games, or all sports games, or all racing car games, or all fighting games, right? There has to be a differentiate of things. There has to be different things. You don't just want to go, here's a food analogy, you don't want to go to a restaurant and they just have chicken across the board. You might like chicken and go to that restaurant one time to get chicken, but if everything at that restaurant is the same, you're going to be like, well, I really don't want this, right? So yes, live service games are very popular, but there's a lot of live service games that don't make it, and they're all trying to get that one game for their ecosystem to keep people coming back. Instead of making 10 games for 1 million people, they would rather have 1 million people play one live service game. All right, so it says, I didn't want to see every game turn into some big service-based game because they felt like they were in business model was. Xbox Phil Spencer says in an interview with Xbox Era. It's not easy to do that. Not every story is told in that way, and not every game kind of supports the creativity idea, supports that business model. Now, we could take examples of what he's talking about, right? So Gotham Knights was a live service game, and they got changed to a single-player co-op type of game. You have Marvel's Avengers, which was a single-player game that got converted into a live service game. You have Anthem, which was a co-op single-player game that got converted into a live service game. And you can see these things happening the opposite ways. You can see the inner workings, where Dragon Age Veilguard was called Dreadwolf, and Dreadwolf was a single-player, was a co-op live service game at some point, but then they changed it. They reshaped it to Veilguard to make it a single-player game. And now Android Wilson's saying, oh, we should have went with the live service aspect. It would have done better. Okay, because why? In his brain, the live service games of Madden and FIFA and all these other ones are doing much better than the other ones. Okay, so it's easy for Spencer to say, of course, when Xbox currently has some of the biggest live service games under the umbrella, especially after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which brought Overwatch 2, Call of Duty. However, the publisher was also supported with a new single-player games that don't last hundreds of hours. Avowed is about to be added to the Xbox Game Pass tomorrow, and the smaller games like South of Midnight are on track for releasing in a couple of months. It says, he says, I think it's important part of the industry because not every story is going to be 100 hours long, and I don't think it should. It's not every medium is going to have the same kind of mechanic, and it's also currency of everything else, Spencer says. They just want to tell stories and move. Some of my favorite games going back to like Limbo and stuff is a fantastic games that want to see it continue the industry. I'm going to compare this to movies. Okay. So movies is another way where back in the day, we used to get these like independent movies, right? We used to get a lot of independent movies, original storytelling type of stuff. If you look back in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of these smaller franchises, I guess you could say, or independent films that turn into franchises. And they were very modest. They would have like a $10 million budget, $20 million budget, and they would go on to make $200, $300, $400 million, and that was awesome. Now you have the recipe in Hollywood where everything is a blockbuster. Everything's a blockbuster. Everything has to be high profile CGI, big battle scenes. It's just kind of boring, right? Everything that comes in the theaters now is like there's 3 types of films. There's the huge blockbuster. There's the sequels of a franchise, like a Fast and Furious type of thing, a Star Wars IP. Very few brand new original stories told. It's just, as Sarge is saying, copy pasta, right? And that's exactly what they're doing in the video game space. That's exactly what they do in the music industry now, right? One person makes a hit pop song, then everyone makes a pop song because that's what's selling at that moment. Okay. It says, despite what can the times seem to be strong push for more live service games, there are a ton of developers who, like Spencer, want to keep giving players complete stories. A few former Dragon Age developers didn't take the idea that adding a live service elements to Veilguard very well. Hazelight chief Joseph Ferris declared that he'll never make a live service game no matter what EA thinks. It will not happen with Hazelight Games. This is the person that does Take-Two and the new Split Fusion or Split Faction or whatever it is, Split Fiction. Naturally, Xbox isn't swearing off live service games for good. It's big enough that it can invest in various kinds of games. Part of the reason for trying to get a subscription going as was to allow support of games that have a beginning, in the middle, and end, Spencer says. But knowing that the legitimate attempts to not just rely on live service is still quite reassuring, especially for those who are pretty sick of them right now. Now, here's a difference between what Xbox has been doing with live service games, right? So they have Halo, and then they have the PvP section of Halo, which is a live service aspect of it. They were going to make Halo Infinite a live service game, but they decided not popular enough, so they stopped doing that. They have like a Forza Horizon. They have what's it called? Sea of Thieves, right? They have games like that. Then there's other games that are live service that are not live service. Like you have Minecraft Dungeons, when they added DLC over time over the next 2 years. So it kept you interested in the last couple of years. So that's not really a live service game, but it's more content, right? And they have a mixture of stuff, and they had this over the years. Sony didn't have any of this. Sony had just their single-player, third-person aspect games that were very popular, and now they're putting all their money, 60% of their money, into making live service games, where they had 20 live service games in effect, and now they canceled 9 or 10 of them. They have 3 or 4 that came out. Other ones failed, and they just canceled in general, right? So they had a lot going on, and they're trying to get in on this market, right? They're trying to get in this market. Why? Because the games that are single player in their ecosystem are selling well, but they're not selling great. So they have to make the money elsewhere, where that's what Game Pass is. That's what PlayStation Plus is, that recurring revenue coming in, but they want more of it. They have to put more stuff on there. Live service. This is why they're doing Marathon. This is why they did try to do Concord. This is why they're doing Helldivers 2. They're putting more and more live service out there because they need to stay alive. They need to have that recurring income because games are too expensive. Okay? So there's the article. I think it's a balance. Again, if you go to a place, you just don't want one option. You want as many options as possible because someone might not be in the mood for a single-player game and they want to play a multiplayer game, or they might want to have an RPG, or they might want to have a JRPG, or they might want to have a horror game, or they might want to have a live service game, and that's the balance, right? Have all of these things across all of your platform, so you're not just pumping out that same EA type of mentality where it's all sports, it's all football, it's all FIFA, right? But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. What do you think about the live service games? Obviously, there's a lot of you out there that think live service is more popular than anything before, but there's also more live service failing than regular single-player games, right? Like, literally, they canceled 10 live service games out of Sony right now. So how many games came out, made money, and then they just canceled because they didn't sell to their expectations for single player? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat what you guys think. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, let's see. Bloodborne. Jason says, 30. NetEase put out an official video showing Thing and Torch and the patch notes if you want to watch it later. All right, I'll take a look at it. Loren says, I wish all games were like GTA Online. I know Argus thinks they should all be like that. Yeah. Yeah. Argus says, I played tons of other online games. GTA is the only one I dislike, so other games can be GTA Online. Doesn't bother me. Nice try, though. Kudapapa says, D2 is underrated because there's also a sold primary PC. It sucked because the input lag. Robert Jones says, Gotham Knights would have failed as a live service. I know, that's why they changed it. It's actually a pretty good game. It shouldn't have been a live service, and I think they made a good move changing it. Sarge says Anthem could have been fixed. It was too underdeveloped, and the lack of vision killed it outright. Let's see. Travis says Anthem was decent, but like EA stuff, it didn't sell 10 million, so they dropped it. Actually, it did sell. It did sell quite a bit, I think. I don't think it sold 10 million, but it did well. But a lot of people were pissed off because it wasn't complete. It was an unfinished game. Altern says, one person doesn't hit AI song and keeps doing more and more. Oh, wait, that's 30. True. I wouldn't really call them a hit. I take that as a compliment? I think they are. I think they're pretty catchy. My son asked me, he said, can you upload them to Spotify so I can listen to them? That's a pretty big deal. My son wants to listen to the music I created. He thinks they're good and they're funny. I really don't care what anyone else thinks. Roadkill says, I just decided I'm not going to work. I'm not going to smoke a joint and play Avowed. You take that day off. You take that day off. You deserved it. Sarge says games are too expensive because of them. That's right. They made the price go up, and now they want you to make sure that, well, you get them out of the hole. How much did really lose on Anthem? They gave up too easily. I don't know if they lost. They just didn't want to put more money into it. That was it. They made money, and they're like, well, how much money do we have to put in to get it out? And they're like, fuck it. Let's just dump it. What's going on, Quintar? Yeah, blaming it on games are expensive is a lie. It's all the license they added to the game, which they decided to do. Like, if I start remodeling my house, Quintar, right? I'm like, you know what? I want granite countertops. I want the high-end floors and countertops and cabinets. And then I look at it and go, what do you mean it's going to cost $300,000? It's like, I'm looking at, like, I decided I want to put the expensive stuff in my house, right? So that would be my fault, not the person that's selling me the stuff. They're like, yeah. Travis says, breaking news. 30 is going to break Avowed tonight. Probably. It'll probably crash. Roadkill says, I'm like 28 hours into Avowed, and I haven't had one bug or anything of that on the series. Good. He says he deserves the day off, probably deserves the joint, but nobody probably deserves that game. Oh, no. He says, Outer Worlds 2, please. Altered says they lost their credibility, that one of the reasons, well, Veilguard didn't sell well much, is that the girl doing exercises, so they said the wrong pronouns on other characters. That's right. My problem with the live service is the resilience of microtransaction to make it work. Or reliance on microtransactions to make it work. Please don't break it. I want to play it. Just because I break it, dog, doesn't mean your game's going to break. It's just that I personally break games. That's just what happens. Just because I break the game doesn't mean your game is going to break. All right. The next topic is the video. We're going to be watching SkillUp's video. I got to put I have the link down below in the description, so if you guys want to watch it on your own, you can watch it on your own. But I don't know why it won't let me put... There's this channel. All right. So what we do is we watch the videos. We go over news stories. If you like it, I give you my thoughts and opinions on the thing. We stop it long. It's a 34-minute video, so it's going to be a lot longer. It's probably going to be an hour long by the time I stop and talk and whatnot. If you like If you like that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I do appreciate you. All super chats from here on for the rest of the year. If you guys do super chats, all that money in super chats goes towards me trying to build a brand new computer. So if you guys like that, you can help us out there as well. All right, so here is Skill Up. Quintard says, my game broke because 30 gave it a, yeah, that's right. If I give it something, it's going to break. All right, here is Skill Up talking about Avowed.
This video is brought to you by one of the most exciting shoutouts I've ever done. Lost in Cold have teamed up with Cook and Becker and Crystal Dynamics themselves to deliver 2 incredible Legacy of Kain releases. One of them, a beautifully detailed and designed official encyclopedia of the Legacy of Kain series, and the other, a tabletop role-playing game based on the Seraphon Order's crusade against the Vampire Scourge.
That's cool.
Look unbelievably good. Plus, I'm actually writing the foreword for the encyclopedia, if you can believe that. If you'd like to learn more, click the link below or stick around to the end of the video. Look, I'm not here to
No, Dupless, I never thought about that.
tell you that Avowed is terrible, but I'm also not telling you that you should really go out of your way to play it. Some of you might be hearing that and thinking, hey, what gives? You love the
Well, that's it. There's the review. He says it's not terrible, but he says also don't go out and get it.
preview build. Well, yeah, I did, but I explicitly said in that preview that 6 hours is never enough time to fully judge an experience like this. Avowed's opening chapter teased an experience with promising foundations that I had hoped would get built on over the rest of the game's 30 to 40 hour runtime. But the reality is that opening chapter was the strongest part of the game, full of the best locations, characters, set pieces, and dungeons. That chapter was also the one that introduced you to the game's core systems: companions, decision-making, gear progression, stat check, dialogue choices, etc. All of these elements were full of promise, and you could imagine how much deeper and more interesting they'd get after dozens of hours. But the truth is that none of them ever evolved to become truly satisfying in their own right. Like, you can say mean things to your companion, sure, but it never feels as though your relationship to them is truly evolving.
Here's a problem that I've noticed with a lot of RPGs that have come out recently, right? Besides Baldur's Gate 3, okay? If you look at a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance, or you look at a game like Mass Effect 2, or you look at a game like Baldur's Gate 3, these should be where we are today as the masses. But a lot of these RPGs come out, and they kind of just give us the minimal viable product of role-playing games, where your choices are there, but they really don't mean anything, right? It's there just for fluff. It's just for make you feel like it's a role-playing game, but it's really not a role-playing game.
One way or the other. You can find unique weapons and armor and level them up, but it's just more stats to help you hit the level gaining requirements that are fairly brutal and almost force you to do side content even if you don't want to. So while Avowed ticks all the boxes in terms of what a game like this should contain, it is that mile-wide, inch-deep RPG experience that unfortunately made Dragon Age the Veilguard so disappointing. And look, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comparisons made between Avowed and Veilguard. Both come from legacy RPG developers, and both are returning to the cinematic RPG format for which these...
Right. So Obsidian made RPGs before. BioWare made RPGs before, but the people that made the original RPGs are not the same people that do it now. They're putting a less effort into these things, and they want to be praised, right? They want to be praised. Look, I will always bring up Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 to me is like the pinnacle of RPGs. I love it. Okay? Baldur's Gate 3. What do we got? Mass Effect 2 came out, what, 2011? And then Baldur's Gate 3 came out in 2023. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a big span there between these two games that are like the pinnacle of RPGs to make you feel like you're the character and living in this world and making your choices actually have consequences to it.
Studios are best known. Sadly, these games are far more similar than I would have liked. Both of them ape the most superficial aspects of the games that inspire them. They have all of the things you'd expect in a cinematic RPG experience, but when you really look at what those things are, it's all just so surface level. Both of them are best enjoyed as action games rather than...
Well, Roic, yeah, there's other games out there. What I'm just saying is like the big games, right? I love the Fable series, right? Choices do matter. Choices should matter.
RPGs. Both of them suffer from writing that fails to really pull you in or whisk you away, and both of them feel regressive versus the sorts of RPG experiences we used to expect from these studios. So if I didn't recommend Veilguard, why am I offering a more neutral recommendation here with Avowed? Well, the truth is, despite how disappointed I was by many of Avowed's elements, there were some parts that I actually really enjoyed. I really did love that opening area. I think it was a fantastic location that gave me a solid 8 hours of fun. Much of that comes down to the fact that I think the best part of Avowed is its world.
It's always weird to me. Did he just say 80 hours of fun? 80 hours of fun, but he can't recommend it. That's crazy to me. I mean, obviously, I guess 80, I guess you know what? I take that back. He's a reviewer, so he has to put the time in. He's doing it because it's his job. He's not like Travis, where it's not his job, and he paid 300 hours and then said the game was shit.
World design, which is not only really intricate and beautiful, but it also encourages you to just go out and get lost in it. Exploration and discovery is a feature of this experience, and the scale and verticality of these open worlds makes it easy for Obsidian to nestle all manner of secrets away in far-flung, hard-to-reach areas. I also think the combat is great. It's got plenty of issues, don't get me wrong, but I can't think of a game where it's this satisfying to play as a spell slinger. I really think Obsidian crushed the fundamentals of this combat
I like the visuals.
model, and that was a huge part of what kept me going. But again, much like Valgard, Avowed is undone by its writing. It's just not good. The first companion you meet is fantastic, actually, but the remaining three, it was a legitimate chore to have to interact with them. The main plot is painfully generic and awkwardly telegraphs its obvious reveals. What's most disruptive is just how leveraged the dialogue is into proper nouns and exposition dumps. I was very keen to step into this world knowing that it was leaning on two.
Well, Travis, I would give another example of someone putting that much time in, but no one's done that. At least they haven't admitted to it, where they put over 300 hours into a game and then not liking it.
Prior games worth of lore. I was excited to learn more about a new fantasy setting full of gods and magic and empires and factions. But you know who was more excited about that prospect than anyone? Avowed's writers, because my god, every single conversation with every single person you meet just becomes this massive history lesson, where every second word is highlighted in blue so it can be explained to you using the in-game glossary. The moment-to-moment dialogue is utterly suffocated by Obsidian's obsessive need to explain this world to you, and as a result, character personalities never have the chance to emerge, and the regional storylines that unfold get lost in the noise. So yeah, look, Avowed is fine. It really is. Ultimately, though, it kind of just feels like content. Like it's the Netflix show you watch while you're folding your laundry, or it's the.
I mean, I listen to YouTube like that, right? Probably some of you guys right now are listening to me while folding your laundry or doing some other thing on the side screen. You know what I mean? Most of you would probably, I think, would do that, right? So, am I this content? That's who I am. I'm the content that you watch, but it's just, you know, it's the show you watch while you're folding your laundry. Yeah, see, dog is watching me. Yeah, let me rewind what he said.
Content. Like it's the Netflix show you watch while you're folding your laundry, or it's the game that you play while you're.
Technically, I listen to him while I'm doing a bunch of other stuff, like doing dishes and stuff most of the time for him, besides watching it on the show. You know what I mean? So does that make it good or bad content? I don't know.
Waiting for a better game to come along. And from a studio as storied and as talented as Obsidian, that's a big disappointment.
And a cycle.
You don't have to apologize. Look, I will take 1,000 of you that just put me on your second monitor. Okay? I don't care.
A reincarnation watched over by the gods. Your home, the idea of an empire is treasure.
Ah, well, the story. Very well. Settle in.
Avowed is set in the Living Lands, an island in the world of Aora that is a frontier country. Its regions were settled by different categories of outcasts, all of them looking to start anew in a region where the long.
I know nothing about Pillars of Eternity, by the way. Oh, and can I forget what Paris said. I watched he didn't say Path of X. He said he didn't say Pillars of Eternity. He said Path of Exile. And then the developer had to correct him. Like he was interviewing the developer and said Path of Exile over Pillars of Eternity, and he never played Pillars of Eternity. It looked really bad. But anyway.
Long arm of Imperial law could not reach, and where the old hatreds might be forgotten. But the mighty Aedean Empire is not.
Oh, Path of Exodus. Is that what he said? Yeah. I was like, did he just do that in front of the The developer? I was like, oof.
So content to see this verdant land descend into the miasma of independence and self-governance. As such, they began seeding their local presence for some time, asserting their authority in subtle and unsubtle ways that would eventually position.
Well, are these the people that made Fallout New Vegas? Or is it the company, Dupless, that made it, right? Are the people that made this game are the same people that worked on New Vegas? Or the people that made New Vegas left the company and moved on to other things, and just Oblivion, who made New Vegas, who made Outer Worlds, is making this?
Them for a power grab. Set against this are the entrenched factions of criminals, pirates, intellectuals, and nomads who would much rather the Aedeans not be there, all of whom
What the hell is Path of Exodus? I don't know. He said something. But it wasn't Pillars of Eternity.
are ready to fight if it comes to that. At this very tense moment, a new plague has befallen the island. It's called the Dream Scourge, and it sends people crazy. It's not understood why this is.
John says, I would play the Path of Exodus. Well, you made it up, so get to it.
Occurring or how to stop it, but that's where you come in. You are an Imperial envoy, a loyal servant to the Emperor who's been dispatched to figure out what the hell is going on and ideally rid the living lands of this plague before it engulfs the whole island. You are the classic blank slate character, bringing little with you but the fate.
Should I make my character on stream tonight, or should I get that done and then jump in right into the gameplay tonight, guys? Let me know.
And backstory you create in the character creator tool. The tool's fine, by the way, nothing special, but it gets the job done. You're then shipwrecked after Dream Scourge mad.
Jax82 says, Skill Up also on a podcast said, if you play through the first zone of Avowed, you've seen enough. Okay.
And soldiers unload cannons into your ship as it nears port, and as you make your way through the game's tutorial area, you start to hear a voice in your head.
We felt your presence like dew on a leaf. We wake. Heed us.
This mysterious voice is in some way connected to the Dream Scourge plague, and as you progress through your adventure, that connection becomes clearer, and you need to face a number of decisions about who to trust or betray.
He said Path of Exile? Okay.
And how to best heal these sickened lands. So that's all the setup, and I wish I could tell you that this interesting premise blossoms into a really rich narrative full of memorable characters, but that is definitely not the case. Easily one of the weakest parts of Avowed is its main storyline, the one involving the voice in your head. It's a spiritual figure of sorts, and they never ever speak plainly. They only ever speak in this circumspect, metaphorical language that's just meant to sound mysterious, but just becomes super fucking annoying after 30 hours of them never really saying what they mean. And it comes so regularly too. Like, if you only ever had to put up with this every now and then fair enough. But in every major cutscene, this voice interjects, adding absolutely nothing.
Avowed is really good in first person, not so much in third person. Okay.
Nothing but an annoying new collection of similes. Whenever you return to camp to chat with companions or upgrade your kit, you are almost always assailed by this voice as you're trying to leave. A repetitive, static-looking dream sequence that involves you just lying on a rock while answering inane questions that amount to absolutely nothing, and from what I can tell have no appreciable impact on the story other than one or two brief and pointless callbacks during later dream sequences. It's all very Baldur's Gate 3 Mind Flayer coded, but like just a bad and mishandled version of that. It's especially frustrating to have to converse with this voice because it's very clear that this voice is not to be trusted. That's not a spoiler, by the way. Like, from very early on, it is clear that this voice is hiding a lot from you. You're given dialogue options that allow you to voice that distrust, but our relationship never evolved in recognition of the previous dialogue choice.
I think the UI could do a little bit of work. When I see this like dialogue box pop up, I don't know, it just looks kind of whatever.
As I had made. Like, I tried to be a dick as often as I could when interacting with his voice because I could tell that something fishy was going on, but every time we'd
I don't know if it's the font they're using.
start up a new conversation, it was like we were always beginning from a neutral position. The voice didn't register or remember any of my previous hostility, so every new conversation could still involve that voice reaching out to me with affection, and I too could offer my unqualified love and support for them just moments after having told them that they should burn in hell or whatever. I know other RPGs like this are often guilty of something similar, but it's far more noticeable here in Avowed because the same sort of problem is present in every interaction I have with characters and companions throughout the game. There's no moral alignment system, no factional standings, no relationship meter for your companions. There are definitely some decisions you can make.
So what he's saying now hits harder on me than other people. Like, again, I don't expect every game to have this, but I will deduct points if your RPG that you can choose to have relationships, or I'm not talking about sexual relationships, I'm just talking about relationships that you build, right? If there's nothing feels like I'm playing a game, I'm role playing as this character, and if nothing feels or the consequences feel off, then it's like, why even put it in the game type of stuff? You know what I'm talking about?
Make that characters and companions will reflect.
Yeah, what Sarge is saying, describing what a definition of minimal viable product. It's like they wanted to put it in, but they didn't have time to put on all the stuff they wanted to put in. So they just left it at the minimal viable product.
Like back on, and that may open or close some doors for you in terms of gameplay or quest progression, but these feel like binary switches rather than more organic feeling relationships. This actually taps into one of Avowed's biggest shortcomings, its inability to deliver a truly reactive experience, one that turns consequence into something you can see and feel, rather than just something that is and has to be explained to you. But I'll talk more about that later. Getting back to that main storyline, it is not good. It really just leads you by the nose from one frustrating half reveal to the next. It's so painfully generic, it really is. It has almost a paint by numbers feel to it. You know, empires and inquisitions and rebels and pirates and the outcast mage class and the dwarves and their chiseled rock fortresses. It is 30 hours of fantasy tropes, and that's what gives it that kind of Netflixy second screen viewing quality. You don't really feel inclined to pay attention to a lot of it because it really does feel like you've seen a lot of it before.
This is not defending the game in any way, shape, or form. I wonder if that's just the way society is now. You know what I mean? Where when you watch a movie, do you pick I'll ask you guys, like, when I watch a movie, my phone's down. I don't ever look at my phone while I'm watching a movie, right? But a lot of people, when they watch Netflix, they watch something, they're going to pick up their phone, they're going to check their messages, they're going to check Facebook, they're going to check their text messages or their emails, right? They're going to see what else is going on because that piece of content is just not engaging with them. Okay? I don't know if that's to say that that product is bad, or if that's more of you've just been like you're linked to that device, where if you have a second of moment over to something that's boring on TV or a boring moment of a video game, you pick up your phone, right? You're engaging in something else. I don't know.
It becomes even harder to pay attention to it given how much exposition and lore dumping is going on all the time. Avowed is set in the same universe as the Pillars of Eternity games. Those are two extremely dense CRPGs which are kind of famous for the richness of their lore. So like I said in the intro, it's an exciting prospect stepping into a universe where so much world building had already been done. But that ended up being a real monkey paw wish because, yeah, there's a lot of lore here, but Obsidian exercised absolutely no restraint in their desire to surface it and no deftness in execution either. Every new character you meet, it's like...
Yeah, but Eclipse says, okay. So Eclipse is saying, it just matters if, like, if I like the movie, I mean, if I'm in the theater, then yeah. If I'm watching it, but if I don't like the movie, I'm usually looking at something else. But my question is, why continue watching the movie? Right? If the movie is not engaging, then why watch it? Do you know what I mean? Come on, Trick. Can I donate? Sure.
It's like they've been waiting their whole lives for the chance to either lore dump or trauma dump or both. It makes every interaction feel so utilitarian. Like, just as a point of contrast, playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, you'll meet so many characters, and they have things that they want to get off their chest, sure, but they also have personalities, and when you chat with them, you aren't spending half the conversation learning about the history of farming and...
That's the way I play, Jax. Jax is saying I recommend exploring the world first and doing the side quest to help level up your character. Well, the video that we watched of the director talking about how once you beat the game, there's no like new game plus and like it's over. The way I play these types of games is I usually do all the side quests type of first and explore before I do the main campaign. I'm not a person that like runs through the main campaign as fast as possible. You know what I mean? Trick says, I wanted to donate, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate you. Welcome to the stream. Because I already spent an hour on it, and most damn movies I like are 2 hours long, and now I might as well finish it. Now, see, that I don't know if that's, but you're not engaged with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. The way I look at it is if I'm not interested in that show, I'm gonna stop watching the show. I just don't care. And I know everyone's different, but that's if something's not engaging to me, I don't engage with it. I just shut it off, turn it off. I do that with YouTube videos all the time. If your YouTube video interests me, I'll watch it to the end. If it doesn't, I stop it and then go watch something else.
in the region, or being introduced to 6 new proper nouns that will never get
Appreciate that,
mentioned
Trick.
again
Thank
throughout
you
the
very
rest of your playthrough. NPC interactions in Avowed often feel like an interactive lore glossary where you're punching in queries and getting automated responses. That really hurts the regional storylines that the game is trying to tell. There are 4 main regions, and each of them has an arc involving local leaders and the way they're grappling with both the encroaching Aedean Empire and the Dream Scourge. The leaders of these regions should be memorable figures, but I met them all again at the conclusion of the game and I was like, oh yeah, I remember you, I think. Because we had spent so much time discussing who they were, what they represented, and the history of their region, we never really got around to the part where I might become invested in who they are personally. So the main plot is not good. The regional plots are not good, and the broader dialogue sags under the weight of lore dumps. But unfortunately, there's one final piece that really seals the deal on just how disappointing the writing in
It sounds
Avowed
like
is,
the writers-
and it's the companions. There are 4 of them.
It sounds like the writers, I don't know if they're new or not, but it sounds like the writers didn't do the writing. You know what I mean? We've seen this plenty of times before in movies.
You'll meet on your journey. The first
Like every Disney Plus show that's out there, when you look at the writing staff, and we haven't looked at the writing staff here, but every writer that was in the Disney Plus show was like their first job or second job.
is Kai, and he, frankly, is awesome. He's a mercenary who's been roped in to help you, and he's voiced by the same
Aaron says, this game's cringe to watch. Please stop pretending this game is good. Who's pretending the game is good? We're literally watching someone's review of the game, Aaron. Show me where Avowed hurt you. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're projecting on other people here. Like, we're just watching SkillUp's review of the game. If I can't watch him talk about the game, why should I listen to you tell me about the game?
person who voices Garrus Vakarian from Mass Effect. There's something incredibly comforting about that voice. It's like a warm hug.
You need to find the ambassador, and I need to find the claviger. How's about we partner up?
But he's also the most real of the companions. Like, he feels like an actual human being with a complex range of emotions. The others all feel so one-dimensional, but also just kind of unpleasant to be around. Like, I never found myself wanting to talk more to them because they never surprised me by doing or saying anything cool. They were just there to either praise or criticize the decision.
Argus, thank you very much for the 13 months. He says, imagine real writers ever writing companies' most important projects, story and lines. Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you very much for the 13 months, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't understand why you would give. I understand that writers need to get their springboard, right? Like, you have to have your first position or try to get into writing. So it's like, instead of giving a person a lead writing credit, they should be like an assistant writer or learn to write based off of something else, right? Now, I understand you need to do to learn, but when you're making a game or making a movie or a TV show, you got to work your way up the ladder. You don't just work on like a AA, AAA, or I should say AAA game. You make a smaller game first and then work your way up. Again, I don't know the writers for this. I was talking mostly about the Disney Plus shows. The Disney Plus shows, you look at their writing credits for like WandaVision or Loki or any of that stuff when they were making those Marvel shows, and none of them were interesting because the writers were brand new into the industry. Aaron says, sorry, I'm just saying that it's a bad game through and through, and that you shouldn't bother playing it. It's good that you're not interested in playing it. I am actually. We're going to play it tonight because it's on Game Pass, and we'll play the opening and check it out because that's what I do. I'm a content creator, and I play games, and we have conversations about it. I know it's hard that people don't think people can have conversations.
Decisions I made without having the backbone to do anything about it. And this comes back to the point I made earlier about that voice in my head. I made some decisions in this game that were very, very contrary to the interests of my companions, and while they might get pissy about it and chew me out, they'd immediately then seem to forget all about that in the next conversation, and we'd reset to neutral.
Yeah, see, I don't like
There's no
that.
companion relationship.
It's not an RPG if the characters that if you tell them to go fuck off, and they're like, oh, well, you know, I had a nice day today. It's like, are you engaging what I'm saying?
Here, because I don't think relationship status is being tracked at all. And that means that very warm and affectionate dialogue feels really out of place when 2 seconds earlier, you know, I'd literally slaughtered half of the population of their hometown. There are plenty of counterpoint examples to everything I've described, by the way, in the sense that you are going to be able to find an instance where one of your companions does remember that fucked up thing that you did and does bring it up later on. Absolutely, sure. But in between those two moments are dozens and dozens of hours where your relationship is totally peachy, and in no way does it feel like your relationship should. It's the perfect example of what I mentioned earlier. Avowed struggles to make consequences felt. Yes, the companion will chastise you at one point for doing something they don't agree with, but can you feel as though your relationship to that companion has diminished?
No.
No, absolutely not. At every layer of the narrative pyramid, Avowed falters. The foundations of a compelling world are there, but they're laboriously surfaced in a way that suffocates moment-to-moment dialogue. As a result, character personalities fail to emerge, making interactions feel impersonal and transactional. Companions are boring to talk to, and it never feels like anything you say.
So it's not a narrative RPG. It sounds like that it's an RPG. There's narrative there, but it doesn't sound like the narrative actually listens to what it's saying, right? So you pick something, and let's say there's an option of picking, upset the person, and then you pick that option. They're mad for that second, and then they kind of like forget that they just said it to you. You know what I mean?
Say to them really matters. The regional storylines that unfold all feel overly brisk and uneventful, and the main plot is a
Ray says, if Avowed does Veilguard numbers, it would be success because the game cost way less. That's also true, right? If it didn't put in, $150 million, $200 million for the game, and the game only costs around 60 to 70, then it doesn't need to sell 7 million copies. It just needs to sell 3 million copies. And if it doesn't sell 3 million copies, and it only sells, let's say, 1 million copies, but then everybody else plays it on Game Pass, and they play Game Pass for that month, or they engage with it for that month, if it's for 10 minutes or 10 hours, then the $20 that someone paid for the Ultimate to get it day one, you need 3 times to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's probably more profitable for them in the way that they're doing it, the way Microsoft is doing their business model.
the collection of painfully drawn out fantasy tropes. People come to these sorts of games for their writing and characters, and I can't imagine that many people are going to walk away from this wishing they could have just one more fireside chat with a companion, or satisfied with the conclusion to the main quest line that you could have seen coming from the first hour of the game.
Yeah, Crowded, I think that's what he's saying, right? The dialogue feels very sterile. It's just there to feed you information, but they don't really engage in what you're saying. It's just like, move it to get from point A to point B, move the story along.
Uninvited company. Something's not right here.
You know what it is, though? Here's a problem. When you play a game way back when you played Skyrim, okay, now this many years later, you play a different game, and they don't hit that bar of what like Skyrim was. I understand it's a completely different company and whatnot, but like when a game comes out and the RPG is hit, this is what they were doing with Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 came out, everyone's like, don't expect this. This is not what you should expect. It's like, no, that's exactly what you should expect, right? Baldur's Gate 3 is that new standard, right? So like Skyrim's here, Baldur's Gate 3's here, and these are not even hitting like this level, let alone this level. They're not hitting the level that they should be hitting. It's like, you played Skyrim, right? Now as a developer, you played Skyrim, and now you're making an RPG game. You should strive and thrive to make the game as good as Skyrim. As far as just people are still playing that game 10, 15 years later. Instead of going, we want to make that game, but we can't do it. We're just not good. That's the problem, I think, with a lot of these people. They think they could hit this mark, but they come way short. They're just like, well, if you don't like it,
When it comes to world design, there are 3 categories of spaces you can explore in Avowed: cities, the open world, and dungeons. The good news is that 2 out of 3 of these are great. The bad news is that one of them is very bad. So let's do the bad one first. Cities.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna back up here for a second. I want to hear what he says.
When it comes to world design, there are 3 categories of spaces you can explore in Avowed: cities, the open world, and dungeons. The good news is that 2 out of 3 of these are great. The bad news is that one of them is very bad.
Okay.
So let's do the bad one first. Cities in Avowed are terrible. Much like Veilguard, cities or settlements look like movie sets, permanently suspended in the moment before.
Talk about this all the time. Why put something in the game if it's not going to be a part of the game? Right? So if it doesn't feel alive, then what's the point of putting it there? Why put a for instance, why put a butcher shop in a game if you never go into the butcher shop to buy meat? It's just there because of set design. That's a movie set, right? Like, give me something in an RPG. If I need to buy food, then put it in a shop with food. Like, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does a very good job. Their population inside their towns feel good. Their actual town is purposeful. There's a reason that it's there. It's not just there because it's there. They're like, oh, you know what? RPGs have towns. We should put a town in this. There's a reason for it to be there.
Before the director yells action, nothing moves. Nothing seems to be happening. Everyone is just standing around.
Yeah.
And I guess there must be some technical reason for this, because when NPCs do move, there's this weird stuttering effect that kicks in as their character models track across space.
Is that happening? He's playing on PC. Anyone playing on console? Is that happening on console?
But yeah, the towns really do feel like they're in alpha form. Like, the geometry is all there, but Obsidian forgot to add in the people, and when they did add them, they definitely did not give them any reason to be there. Connected to this, there are no social game systems. Now, when I'm out in the wild and I see...
So here's a difference, right? Here's a difference of those of you that don't understand what he's talking about. So, like, if you play a game, I'm trying to think, Grand Theft Auto, right? We talked about Grand Theft Auto earlier. When you play Grand Theft Auto, you could stop doing what you're doing, right? You're living in the world of Grand Theft Auto. So if I get out of the car and I see a guy come out of a building and I follow him, that character is going to walk 6 blocks, get in a car, drive to his house. Like, the people inside of Grand Theft Auto feel like they're alive. They feel like they're going places. In a game like this, again, I haven't played this yet. Where games don't engage like this, it's like in the movie industry, before cameras roll, they say, okay, extras and action. Which happens is, if I'm the main character in this game and I'm starting to walk through the town, they don't engage until you hit a certain point. So it's like you hit a certain point, it's like a trigger point, and then they get up to move across and they do just a 10-second clip or something. It doesn't feel live. It feels like they feel dead. They feel like they don't feel real. And the game pulls you out of that immersion.
Some dried fish there for the taken, I'm gonna steal it, because who's gonna stop me, right? But when I'm in the city and I steal someone's food from their kitchen while they're in that kitchen watching me do it, I expect there to be some consequences.
Kingdom Come Deliverance, you can do something in the game and they know what you're doing. If you stole something and they see you wearing it, they're like, hey, that's Ted's. You just stole that from Ted's house, right? This, you can steal stuff, they don't give a shit.
In Avowed, though, not so much. In Avowed, there is no concept of theft. No one minds you lockpicking their chest of valuables right in front of them. There are no guards who will chastise you for doing something wrong, because there's nothing that you can do that's wrong. There's no way to attack NPCs. I remember one time, and I don't have footage of this, so I apologize, but I was walking through town and I saw 2 people standing over a corpse. One of them was kneeling over it, and the other one was just looking on, very concerned. I approached it, and it was clear that the person lying down had been murdered, and these 2 people were investigating. On the ground next to the corpse was a dagger, and so I just picked it up. And the guy kneeling down says, hey, this is a murder scene. And that's all he does. He doesn't try and arrest me. He doesn't even stand up. He just stays in that same kneeling position, not saying anything, while I walk off with this murder weapon. When Avowed was revealed, it was a really interesting pitch, because it was basically Obsidian taking a swing at the Elder Scrolls formula. But a crucial part of a Bethesda game is the reactivity of their worlds, the physics of objects, the social systems that govern how the world responds to your actions. I understand that creating that sort of sandbox is really tough, absolutely. But like, Warhorse just did it with a team of 200 people on a $40 million budget. Regardless of what Obsidian were or were not shooting for here, the lack of responsiveness of the world in a first-person RPG experience like this really stings, and it massively undermines how immersive an experience like this can be. And it's like, what's the limitation here, you know? Like, Obsidian...
I hear what you're saying, Eclipse. Eclipse says, I mean, I know it's a cheap thing to do, but if you're godlike and people know that you are, so it's not going to attack you. Yeah, but why put it in the game if you can steal stuff if nothing happens to you? Do you know what I mean? It just feels a little weird.
Obsidian is not a scrappy startup, it's a legacy studio that is now owned by $1 trillion corporation. I don't think it's unreasonable for us to expect NPCs that move in our city.
Like, I didn't play Pillars of Eternity at all. So if this is my first entry into this, it's an RPG because I like RPGs. I go into this game. I can steal things, but nothing. There's no consequences. So why is there stealing?
Anyway, it's a much better news story when you get beyond the city walls and head out into the wilds, and it's at this point where the review kind of pivots to start talking about all the stuff that I actually liked about Avowed. Firstly, this is a really good looking video game, or at least I think it is. It's more about the art style than its technical wizardry though. Like, this game does have ray tracing, for example, but you'll barely notice it. What you will notice are these vast draw distances, this intricate geography, these saturated colors, and this highly stylized architecture. It's a game that confidently strikes out towards its own unique style, and I think it really nails it. The vistas in particular really pull me in because they're real, and what I mean by that is Obsidian's Outer Worlds was all about its impressive skyboxes, which made environments look cool, but they weren't actually that good when you got up close to them. Here in Avowed, a lot of what you can see, you can actually go there. Not all of it, but enough of it, such that when you enter a new biome and take it all in for the first time, you can be confident you're not getting yourself all hyped up only to be met with invisible walls. The spaces are actually much bigger than they first appear, given how vertical these worlds are. Very often you'll be forced to find a way up a cliff line so you can access an entirely new area. Very often you'll be thrust deep down into an expansive dungeon. You really have no sense of a given area's density until you actually step foot into it, and that makes it very exciting to explore because you never know what you're going to find. The process of exploring the living lands was easily my favorite part of Avowed, more so than its impressive combat, to be honest. I've said many times before that I'm a bit of a sucker for that Ubisoft map marker clearing thing. I don't like to overdose on it, but I like a little bit of it, and Avowed sort of scratches that same itch in its own way. Except here, Obsidian aren't relying on map markers. They're just letting you stumble around until you find something cool. I think that's actually the best fun to be found in
I'm okay
Avowed.
with that.
There's a big map and all of it is blank when you arrive. You got to pick up your main quest.
That makes you explore. I'm a person that plays that way, though. I don't like going from point A to point B. I like going everywhere and then get to point B. You know what I mean? Like, I make the choice that I want to go, and I think that's the way most games should. But I know a lot of people don't like that because they don't like they don't like to be told not what to do, because then they feel lost and overwhelmed.
And your side quests, sure, but to be honest, they're never that impressive. So the best thing you can do is just look at something in the distance and head toward it. A lot of the time, you will be pleasantly surprised by what you find, because the landscape is littered with all manner of secret and puzzle and collectible, and they're all squirreled away in some clever way. One time I found a labyrinthine cave network that had a perk upgrade point at the end of it. Another time I found a ruined tower littered with traps that had a mini-boss at the top. Another time I found a hidden sewer system that had some high-level materials waiting for me. It's all simple stuff, and it is a bit of a bummer that these locations aren't better integrated into the game's narrative. I think that's what makes them feel more Ubisoft-esque than we might have expected for a game like this.
Coulter says, I compare this year in gaming to Empire Strikes Back.
This really does feel like you're exploring video game worlds full of video game stuff, rather than being immersed in a rich landscape that is capable of telling its own stories. But even despite this shortcoming, it's fun, and it stayed fun for the game's entire runtime. Right up until the end, I would be headed towards my next major quest objective, but I'd still keep myself open to the possibility of new discoveries. I'd still follow my nose to see where it led me, and invariably, those off-the-beaten-path discoveries were always more satisfying and more rewarding than anything
The hell, that guy just blew up.
the main quest lines ever served up. One of the best discoveries you can chance upon are dungeons, and there's only a few of them here, but I like them. They have a few puzzles to solve, a few mini-boss encounters to get through, some nice loot upgrades to collect. In an ideal world, Obsidian would have set more time aside to deliver a few more of these, because they are the high points of both the open world exploration and the main quest lines, but what's here is good. You know what else is good? Combat.
That's a big selling point. If combat's good, that's a big selling point. Maybe this is that loop that keeps you playing for 40, 60 hours.
You might have already seen some reviews for Avowed.
It feels like it has weight for what I just saw there.
By now, they are all, to a number, praising its combat, and that's both accurate and surprising. Accurate because, yes, the combat rules, and surprising because I don't think anyone was expecting that first-person melee and spell-slinging combat would be the most lauded feature of an Obsidian release, or any release, really. First-person fantasy combat is notoriously difficult to do well. You have to solve two problems at the same time. You have to make melee combat feel good when you don't have any character animations to rely on, and you also have to make spell slinging good when magic missiles provide a hell of a lot less feedback than an M14 rifle or a Doom shotgun does. Obsidian really zeroed in on these challenges and solved both of them brilliantly. In the case of melee, they understood that you can't really make first-person melee combat much deeper, but you can make it feel way better. You can slow down gameplay at the moment of impact. You can make sure enemies ragdoll properly in response to your strikes. You can make sure enemies reel when you hit them with charged attacks. You can make the parry sound fucking loud so that it's satisfying as hell when you land it. You're still doing all the same things you were doing in Skyrim, which is
But it feels cool.
pulling the right trigger over and over again, but it just looks and feels so much better here. It's the best first-person melee combat you're going to find outside of like Darktide and Dying Light.
That's big. That's big. So they sacrificed other things in the game and made the combat better.
And those are games that are like best in class. Me though, I chose to play as a spell slinger, and goddamn was that a good call. Not because the melee is bad, of course, but because the spell slinging just absolutely rules. I can't think of a game that's done first-person
It's almost like you're like Doctor Strange right now.
spell slinging as well as this. You've got a wand for basic attacks, which feels great to use, and in the offhand you've got a spell book which lets you cast 4 spells. You can then combine that with 4 more spells you combine to the D-pad. At that point you've got 8 spells you're cycling between, and if you've got enough essence to sustain you, you can just go absolutely.
This is why we watch Skill Up, okay? Because Skill Up, ACG, a couple other guys, when they do reviews, they break it down. So, right, if you're an RPG guy and the RPG doesn't feel good, they tell you this is what it is. If you like this, you like that. If you're a combat guy and you like the combat, or the combat's not good, right? So when you look at a game overall, you'd be like, well, the story's weak, the exploring is good, the combat is good, the world building is bad. You as an individual look at this and go, well, what do I like? What do I don't like? Right? Some of the stuff I don't like as far as the RPG elements, right? It feels a little bland, okay? But the combat's good, and this is good, and the exploring is good. So is there more pros than cons at the end of the day when you're looking at a game that you want to pick up?
Ham, throwing out single target spells, CC, AoE, and buffs, all while remaining extremely mobile. It's super exciting and super satisfying, but also very strategic, and I think that's something that's going to get overlooked in Avowed's combat model. Yes, the inputs are great, but the combat chess of it is also surprisingly strong. There aren't a huge number of enemy types, but there's enough of them used smartly enough that you can't just target whatever you see. There are healers who put out such a ridiculous amount of healing that leaving them up is suicide. There are archers who will smartly reposition, forcing you to avoid their sightlines. There are mages who can summon minions that will
I'll tell you what, the combat here looks much better than Eternal Stranded. And I'm playing Eternal Stranded right now, and the combat's like one of the weaker points for me right now.
overwhelm you unless you burn that mage down, and there are melee bruisers who will interrupt your casting unless you either CC them or dodge their attacks. Looking at all this footage, you might be thinking, that looks a little spammy, like just cast every spell you can as soon as it's off cooldown and that's it. But between enemy types, topography, resource management, spell cooldowns, and companion abilities, there's a lot that you're keeping in your head all at once. And when you're really in command of all those things, you can be absolutely devastating. But simultaneously, when you lose focus, then things can fall apart very quickly. So the most frustrating thing you're going to encounter when playing Avowed is the very poorly balanced...
I don't like the UI. UI is not going to make or break me in any game, but I'm not a big fan of their UI choice that they've picked.
Progression economy, and how much that stifles the amount of enjoyment that you could have had while playing this game. Avowed's class design is very free-form, with no restrictions whatsoever on what talents you can pick and what items you can equip. The game will let you carry a blunderbuss in one hand and a spellbook in the other, should you choose. It will also let you run a second weapon loadout that you can switch to on the fly, and there you can carry a magic wand and a one-handed axe if you wanted to. It's entirely about your freedom of choice. Or so you think, until you come up against the economies that underpin all this stuff. The first and biggest bottleneck is the availability of talent points. There are hundreds of talent points you can invest in across the subclass options, but you only get around 25-ish talent points over the course of a playthrough. I'll put it this way, I specialized exclusively in the wizard tree, and if you...
Now, see, I think that's a design choice, and the design choice, this makes much more sense what Caitlin, right? That was her name. I forget. Is that what the director's name is? This is a design choice because they said, "Is there a new game plus?" She says no, but you can start again. And so they're only giving you a certain amount of points. So this is the replayability. Okay, replayability. And because the replayability is the way it is, I believe it's a choice in that way because it's on Game Pass. Yes, you can purchase it. Okay, which is fine. It's a win if you purchase it. But if you don't purchase it and you just play it on Game Pass, it's this reoccurring. I like playing Avowed, so I'm paying $20 for that month playing the game. And if you like it afterwards, maybe buy it if you're going to play it over and over and over and over, because I don't think playing just this game for the $20 a month is worth it at that point. You know what I'm saying?
You gave me twice as many points as I got during my playthrough, I would still feel like it's too few and that I wasn't able to properly shape a character that could tap the potential of these skill trees. And that's just if I were to continue specializing in that one tree. Perish the thought of having enough talent points to also make big progress into another tree so that I could really flex into a hybrid build. The obvious response to all of this is, dude, what are you talking about? It's an RPG. You are meant to make class choices and commit to those. You are not meant to have access to everything. The constraints are the point. To which I reply, yes, I know that, but you don't understand how stingy this feels. It's not even enough points to satisfy 1/4 of one tree, and it completely neuters the intent that Obsidian clearly had to encourage hybrid builds and on-the-fly weapon swapping. Related to this is the itemization and the item progression economy.
Maybe they could patch it in where they give you a little bit more points per playthrough.
So items in this game are really dull, like wand and axe.
So there's 125 points and you're only getting 25 points?
And sword, and that's it. There's a handful of unique items that have names and some pretty underwhelming effects, but it just feels super generic. It becomes even more generic when you have to level these things up. I used the same wand throughout my entire 30+ hour playthrough because I never once found a unique wand, so I just kept leveling mine up all the way.
Did you see this? So he's complaining about the wand, and I don't know if he did this or not. Did he explore to find a different wand? Or did he just play through just the story and the side quest? Did he explore a lot?
Common wand +3 became fine wand +0, and so on and so on. Leveling up these weapons does not give them any new capabilities or whatever. It's not like there are dormant bonuses that unlock as you level these things up. It's just straight stats. But more importantly, pushing your weapons and armor into new tiers negates the crippling level gating that the game has baked into its combat. Long story short, there are 5 power tiers in this game, and if I'm fighting a tier 2 enemy with a tier 1 wand, I'll be doing 35% less damage to that enemy, and I will take 35% more damage from them. When this level gating...
So you want to go out and try to find and level up your stuff and be overpowered.
Differential is applied, combat feels much more challenging because I die faster, and to be honest with you, I kind of like that. But it's also much more challenging because enemies are so much more fucking spongy and it takes forever to drop even basic enemies. And that part I did not like. So you may be thinking, okay, just level up your gear then, what's the problem? Dude, I tried! You don't know how hard I tried to get my gear leveled up, but the amount of resources it takes to push you into those higher item tiers, it's, like, I really did do a fair amount of side content.
Okay, so he did side content, but it doesn't sound like he went exploring a lot. And he doesn't like the grind for that type of stuff
in this game. But even then, I was almost always 1 item tier behind whatever I was fighting, and at one point I was 2 item tiers behind. That was especially frustrating because I'd progressed to a zone where I was no longer able to get the old...
I think stuff like this definitely leans him towards hating the game more than finding stuff, right? Because I guarantee you, the way I play these types of games, I will find other things. Okay, so let me say this. I was watching a person play Eternal Strands, and he was in endgame, and he went to his smither, right, weaponsmith, and I saw the blueprints that he had, and I went, man, he's only got like three blueprints for like the helmet. Meanwhile, I have like 5, meaning he didn't explore like I did. Right, so I have more things that I can go to my, my experience of going around. I'm assuming it's the same thing in this game, okay? Where if I go around, I could level up or find different weapons that might be OP or unique weapon, but he didn't find it. And if I find that weapon, sorry about that. If I find that weapon then it might make my gameplay completely different. My experience completely different than what he did.
Old upgrade materials I needed, only the more powerful versions, so I needed to go back to the previous zone and just grind enemies in the open world, hoping...
Akuta Papa says there are a ton of unique weapons. You can also upgrade both weapons and on unique, and you can also upgrade the enhancement or the enchantment. Okay, Z says Outer Worlds. I did side quests leveling up long before I moved on to. Unfortunately, it made the ending feel too easy, but you got a choice. Right. You can be overpowered or you can go in underpowered. It all depends on how you play the game. He didn't go exploring, and he wasn't using it the crafting. That's what I'm feeling. Akuta Papa, no, I haven't played it all. I don't really know, but the way he's playing the game, it sounds like he didn't have an enjoyable time because maybe that's what he doesn't like to do. Now, this is why reviewers, though, they have a time limit of how they have to play the game, get through the game, so they can make the reviews for the game. So when viewers play the game, they play it completely different than like you and I play the game. X Factor says, I've been playing this game since it came out, and it's been a pleasant surprise on how much fun it's been having. Well, there you go. See? So this is someone who's been playing the game for a while. Same with Akuta Papa. He's been playing it. Hal says, I mean, you could do nothing but the main path in Elden Ring. You will find all kinds of loot. Sure, but if you don't, like, if you go exploring in Elden Ring, you'll find a shit ton more stuff. What I've noticed, though, is that when it does reviews of the game, he usually doesn't do side quests. I noticed ever since that he made a AC Valhalla review, it seems that Skill Up doesn't like doing side stuff. He said he did side quests, right? I'll rewind a bit here.
They were able 2 item tiers behind. That was especially frustrating because I'd progressed to a zone where I was no longer able to get the old upgrade materials I needed, only the more powerful versions, so I needed to go back to the previous zone and just grind enemies in the open world, hoping they drop what I needed so I could progress to the next item tier.
Okay, so him saying that he has to go back and grind, go to the next tier, means he probably didn't do what he probably just mainlined the thing, which would make you underpowered. Right, the side quests. This is why I always tell people, the side quests are part of the main game, right? You can play just the main story stuff, but the side quests are there to help you open up the map, explore other things, find other things to make your overall experience better. You don't have to engage with that, but don't negate and say that, well, I was underpowered. Well, you didn't partake in the rest of the game.
A tier, mind you, that would still be 1 level behind what I should have been at. If you are the kind of player that likes to beeline the main story in a game like this, then Avowed is not for you.
See? Most RPGs, okay, even Fallout, you shouldn't beeline the main campaign. You should explore the open world and go find things to do. I don't understand this mentality of, when you play a game, I got to get through it as fast as possible so I can get to the next game, right? You're supposed to play the game. And again, you can play how you want to play the game if you want to play as fast as possible. But in an open world RPG game, yes, maybe the RPG is not the best in this, okay? But go explore. Go play the game.
Because while its side content is optional, the resources that come from exploring the open world are anything but optional, and the punishment for not playing the game the way that Obsidian wants you to is to be fighting against meat sack enemies with seemingly...
Well, it's not that they want you to play that way. They made an open sandbox. You go play the way you want to play. But if you're just doing the main story and there's all this other stuff to do, you're not going to have the full experience of the way they made the game.
Health pools who can KO you in 3 hits if you aren't paying attention. So Obsidian, if you're watching, here's my suggestion. Double the amount of perk points that we get whilst leveling and halve the resource requirements for all item progression.
I haven't played it yet, but I agree with the doubling of the points, but I disagree with the halving the requirements of crafting. But I'll tell you that when I start playing tonight and tell you what I think then.
That way, I can make full use of the excellent combat model you have built here, either by reaching the true potential of a single class, or allowing me to explore hybrid builds, while also neutralizing these level-gating breakpoints that result in this spongy-feeling combat.
So Hal says, Mike, I've heard from several sources that the loot in this game isn't great, so I don't know. I have to ask a question. The sources that you're talking about, are they from game reviewers or from people playing the game? There's a difference. I'm not saying the people that are doing the reviews are not people playing the game. Obviously they are. Or are they game reviewers that play differently than someone that would play the game like myself or Mo or Kudapapa or Quintar? You know what I'm saying? I want to watch Wolfheart's review. I think he's good. But what my point of this question, House, is reviewers play games much differently than people that just play games. Reviewers have a timetable. They have to get the review out. They have to put it up there. They don't play the same way as just the normal person that's picking up a game and playing. Let's see what you guys are saying back here. 30, saying that it's a base experience from playing it. I was having similar issues until I figured out the crafting and upgrading, okay? This game wants you to take out your time and explore. I think most games that when they make a game like this, you would have to do that. You need to level up or you will get fucked up, Roadkill says. Twisted Logic says, worst game for that was Borderlands 3. Doing side stuff made me over-leveled. Well, that's a problem in Borderlands itself, right? That's a problem in itself. Because at the end of Borderlands 1 and 2, you're going for the end game type of stuff. So they're just trying to push you through the end game so you can start getting like, over P rolls and stuff like that. Yeah, the loot is unbelievably. There's also a chest around every little nook and cranny. Sarge says, I mean, why do we want to beeline then gear checked, then get mad? Yeah, I don't understand that myself. Go outside, explore, but in the game. X Factor says, yep, this game is more enjoyable to not rush the main quest only. When she said it in her review, and they asked, can you do a new game plus? She said, no, but you can make a new character. I said during that interview, I said, oh, well, that means I'm going to do everything in the game before I do the main quest line, is what I said. Roadkill says, yeah, leveling in is very slow, and you need to add, you need to up the leveling is slow as shit. Roadkill says, I mean, I'm level 11, and I got like 25 hours, 27 hours into it. Sarge says, no game should also let you beeline the end, and also would like to point out the rest of the game. You can't just beeline the straight to the end.
I knew you'd come around. You miss me.
I'll let you think that.
To finish up, I want to come back to a point I made earlier about Avowed's challenge in making consequences seen and felt. To be clear, you do make many impactful decisions in this game. You will decide the fate of hundreds or thousands of innocents. You will choose which factions to prop up or rat out. You will spar with the gods themselves and determine their fate too. In big and small moments, you will choose what to do or say, and there will be consequences.
Player says I should check out Multiple's games review on 100% the game with multiple playthroughs. All right, I'll check it out. We won't do it on stream, but I'll check it out.
But very rarely can you see or feel the impact of those choices. Like, when you doom a population to die, you don't see some elaborate cutscene showing those events unfold. It's almost like a Rube Goldberg machine, where you see the first part of the kinetic chain, and then the camera just stays fixed on that starting point. And then a few seconds later, a flashcard pops up that reads, heaps of people died because of what you just did. I'm exaggerating, but I'm also kind of not, and it's hard to make
that just sounds like they ran out of time, though. You know what I mean?
This specific point without spoiling things, but I really felt this a lot when playing through Avowed. I want meaningful choices in a game like this, but the choice to blow up Megaton becomes a lot less meaningful if I can't watch that mushroom cloud go up. Something similar can be said of my relationship to companions. I don't just want there to be individual dialogue options for being the nice guy and being the dick. I want the general shape of our conversations to evolve in recognition of how much I've been a nice guy or a dick. To stretch the Fallout 3 analogy further, I don't want to see them get mad at me once for destroying their hometown. I want to see that mushroom cloud in their eyes every time I look at them.
I understand what he's saying, right? You want your choices to matter, and you want it to reflect in the rest of your playthrough.
Is it unfair to want these things? Partly yes, in the sense that implementing these sorts of responses.
I think it is. I don't think it's unfair. I don't. I think if you're making a game like this, there was other games before this game that you really adored, and you wanted to make a game like that, like I said earlier, like a Skyrim, like a Mass Effect, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3. Like, you look at these games and say, man, I want to make a game like that, and you get the you get hyped up and you're like, I want to make a game like that, and one day I'm going to make a game like that, and then you have that opportunity to make a game like that, but then it falls short big time as far as the RPG elements of it.
responsive game systems is really hard. But also, partly no, because I think it's fair to have pretty high expectations of a studio like Obsidian, one now backed by all the might of Microsoft. Like, if a Sony game was trying to do Sony game things, but also not doing a very good job of it, I'd be like, what gives, Sony? If the next Zelda game is mediocre, I'd be like, Jesus, what the fuck is happening at Nintendo?
What he's talking about right here is this, right? The bar, right? What I always use, right? If Zelda's here and the next Zelda game doesn't hit this point and go a little bit above, then what's the point of making the next Zelda game?
HQ. I don't think it's entitled to expect great games from great studios who are owned by platform holders. Instead, we get these barren, lifeless cities populated by a handful of NPCs that can't move, and when they do move, it looks like they're bugging out. Avowed has some great world design and some fantastic combat, and that was a really pleasant surprise, but it came at the expense of the most integral parts of an experience like this. Its writing is weak, its main storyline is weak, its companions are weak, its RPG and itemization systems are generic and unbalanced. It's yet another one of these very surface-level RPGs from a major studio who have made better, deeper RPGs in the past. And I really don't love this recent trend of combining shallow writing with shallow RPG elements in the hope that you'll make your game accessible enough to people who might not otherwise be interested in it. Spoiler alert, that's not interesting to anyone, full stop. Avowed is a bit of fun here and there, but it's not in the least bit interesting. And that's a real shame for a studio that has made so many deeply interesting video games in the past.
All right.
Okay, so for me, this is one of the most exciting sponsored shoutouts in the history of the channel.
so he's doing...
By now, many of you will know Lost in...
So he said in the very beginning, go check it out. Hit the like button if you like skill up stuff. If you watch it here, at least go over there. Description's down below. Give it a like, give it a dislike, whatever you want to do. But because you watched it with me, go over there, check it out, interact with his stuff. Player says, I definitely don't think Microsoft should make Obsidian make games that cost $200 million and take 7 years if the game doesn't sell, the studio goes under. I don't know if it's gonna I don't think it's gonna put the studio under. Because $200 million is far from $350 million. $200 million game doesn't need to sell 7 million copies, 5 million copies. A $200 million game just needs to sell 3 million copies. And over the time, I think they can sell 3 million copies, especially since the game is, $70. And they subsidize that with Game Pass and early access, that if you had Game Pass, you pay additional $40 or whatever it is to get it 5 days early. So there's a subsidization of that. And then down the road, if Microsoft sticks to their plan and how they're moving games over to other places, right, then it goes to PlayStation or it goes to... then that's just more money in their pocket afterwards. So I don't think they have to sell 7 million copies. $315 million, Spider-Man needs to sell 7 million copies or more. $200 million only has to sell you around 3 million. So I don't know. I think overall, I think I'm going to like the game more than not like the game. I said this before we even played it. We're going to be playing it tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on our other channel, 30 and Still Gaming. Okay. Guys like that, there you can see it in the description down below. Go to my other channel. We'll be playing that 8 p.m. tonight. Come out as I get my first impressions of my own eyes playing it. This might hit me up and I get hooked onto it and I keep playing Avowed, or I might not get hooked and continue playing Eternal Stranded. I'm gonna finish both, but which one am I gonna pick up and continue playing? Is it gonna be Avowed, or is it gonna continue playing Eternal Strands? So we'll see tonight if it hooks me. I think there was more pros than cons in his review. And I do believe, like, him saying that the things that he said for cons, I don't think it's a bad thing. Definitely not paying $70 for this. Yeah, and the people that want to pay $70, House, which a lot of people do, they'll pay the $70. Me, I pay for Game Pass. And Game Pass, it comes out, and today, that's why I'm going to play it. What do I like about Stranded? Stranded is what I like about it so far, Jones. It's taken a while. I have about 10 or so hours into it, 10, 12 hours into it. I like the worlds they have. What he complained about, I like in a game. So I like going back to past lands and resource gathering so I can level up my gear so that when I go to the next area or next land that I'm not under-leveled, like he's saying, okay? Like, right now in Eternal Stranded, I like the crafting system. I like that the exploration of that game where I can find different blueprints and whatnot. I like the battles that I do against like the mini bosses or the world bosses that you have. So I'm really liking what that is. What I don't like about Eternal Strands is there's a lot of dialogue. Okay, not saying that dialogue is a bad thing, but just a lot of fluff inside of what's going on. Not really knowing what is happening in the story. It's more of like these connections that are happening between with the companions that you have. The gameplay is good, not great. So the fighting mechanics in the game are not very good, but they're fun enough, right? And I don't know if that's because it's third person instead of being first person, but that's why I like Eternal Strands so far. Every time I find a new area, I'm like, oh, and then I start exploring it, and that's hooking. That's what's hooking me. Let's see. Z says playing the weaker story, but the gameplay is good, is better than reverse. Might have a great story and difficult, annoying gameplay. Right. When he said the gameplay is good, that's a big deal, right? Gameplay is a must in a game. I'll wait for a few patches and then pay for a month of Game Pass to play this. And I think that's a smart way to look at stuff, Crowded. Like, that's how I am on here, right? The reason I play these games, regardless if you're on Game Pass or whatever, I don't play these games to give you guys a review. I give you my thoughts, and because I've been playing video games since I was 3 years old, and I'm 46 now, okay? I play games in a different way, where maybe I don't have the time like Co-Carnage to put in 100 hours into a game within a week, but I do have time to put into a game that I like and play, and then give you my honest opinion on these games, right? We beat Star Wars Outlaws, and I told you the good and bad about Star Wars Outlaws. People didn't agree with me with my bad takes, but at the same time, they weren't bad takes. They were takes that they needed a patch, and they fixed those patches, right? So I can tell you, because I'm not a fan of one or the other, I'm going to tell you that, hey, the mechanics are good, the gameplay is good, the storytelling's bad, right? I will tell you these things, but just in a longer format, right? I'm not this person that's going to give you a 20-minute video review. You got to come and hang out with me, and as I'm playing the game, you ask questions, and I give you my real-life opinions about it, in that moment. Roadkill says, yeah, I haven't had one bug. I'm playing on balance mode. Right? I don't look at this as like I'm a connoisseur, right? I'm like, oh, let me smell the herbs in this. Right? It's like I'm just playing the game. Is it fun? Sure. Is it fun with good gameplay? Yes. Is it fun with this? I break it down. Outlaws was an actual 7 out of 10. Not when it came out, it wasn't. It might be a 7 out of 10 now, Travis. Clip says, I got far enough along where the stuff starts changing. The areas actually have different things, and that happened to me. Pretty cool, like different epic monsters and stuff, kind of like Monster Hunter. Yeah, and then if you notice, the environment changes in Eternal Strands as well. It might be hot, it might be cold. It's got like this void thing happening. It might be a clear day. It's completely different. Player says, Avowed has a very positive rating on Steam for the people who bought the game. Why do you think that there's so much controversy with this game? I think it's just in general. I think a lot of it, has to do with what Matt Hansen, the art director, did. I think a lot of it has to do with just the scope of what's happening in video games, right? We don't like to be preached to. We don't like to be, right? And if you're new on my channel, but I don't think ever that makes or breaks a game if they have, DEI stuff in the game, right? If the game is good, the game will be good. Okay. If it's beloved, like someone might think it needs to sell 7 million copies, but it only needs to sell 3 million, and that's successful. So when they say, oh, it only sold 3 million, well, we don't know the budget, right? For most games, we just know that the game underperformed or overperformed or whatever it is. So I think this game is under the microscope. I think there's a 2-factor with it. I think Microsoft people are upset with Microsoft because they're not making games for Xbox. They're making games for everywhere, which I don't understand why you would be upset about that. Like, buy the game where you want to play it. I think other people are upset because people like Matt Hansen open their mouth when stupidity comes out, where you're just making a video game, make a video game and shut your mouth and let the game sell itself instead of you trying to sabotage the game. Because obviously the they, them pronoun thing, you can shut that off. Why didn't they just say that? Why didn't they just say that when all the drama was coming out? Nobody said that, right? So obviously now they changed it where you can shut it off. But they didn't say that. If they said that, people would have been like, oh, okay, no big deal type of stuff. So I think there's a lot going on and just the landscape of what it is. Yeah, I'm going to play Adamfall. Outlaws was a 4 out of 10 on release and maybe a 6 out of 10 now. It may be a 7 out of 10 now, but it wasn't a 7 out of 10 when it came out. Jason says, what's Outlaws? Robert Jones says, how do you describe Eternal Strands? It almost sounds like Breath of the Wild, and they need to fire armor to explore these lands. Yeah, so that's exactly how it is. So there's ways to find different materials or get materials, find different plans in Eternal Strands, and then it'll so different materials will make fire resistance or cold resistance, so you can put that on your gear. So if you are going in a fire zone, you want to put more cold stuff on so you're not getting. So it's exactly like that, right? And you could play it how you could go in there. It'll just going to slow you down, right? You can not have cold resistance, and you have to work your way around because there's like spots in the ground you can't touch because it'll hurt you. So it's just going to make it slower. He didn't say that because he wanted to have a moral high ground against Elon Musk. Right. Instead of just saying, no, that's not in the game. That's an option in the game. No, he was like, I hate Elon Musk, and then he went in farther with it. And it's like, just make the game, dude. Make the game. So it says it's like Monster Hunter, Breath of the Wild had a baby. Yeah, that's a good description. Jason says, how do I know you're going to bring up Elden Ring? I'm telling you, Travis, if he sat down with a therapist, he would have a good 6-month session with a therapist just talking about Elden Ring. They'll be like, so tell me, how does Elden Ring make you feel? That's exactly what happened. You just gotta
Stop it. Get some help.
gotta get help. Gotta stop talking about Elden Ring. You just gotta stop talking about it. There's people that don't even bring it up in this chat, but Travis does, and then goes on about it. On about it. On about it. All right, let me go to Twitter here. See what's happening on the Twitterverse. Time to go to the Twitterverse. Let's see what's happened while we were live. If any other news broke that I can just scroll down and give you guys a little bit of news here. He does. The therapist needs to help him with Elden Ring. We need to get that demon out of his head. Hackers planted a Steam game with malware to steal gamers' passwords called Pirate Fi. Interesting. We might have to talk about that tomorrow. Ray says Xbox died again in February of 18. See you tomorrow for the next Xbox funeral for Xbox in February 19. Why did someone say that Xbox died again? Yeah. Travis says, I have an idea. You ready? Here's my idea. We play actual good games, and I'll focus on it. Travis, you say there's good games all the time, but yet, for some reason, you always bring up Elden Ring. There's plenty of good games to talk about. So, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yuzuka in Hawaii is getting 9s and 10s. 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Where's IGN's review? IGN doesn't have a review yet. Probably a 7. It's probably a 7 out of 10. I thought the banana game was spyware. Wasn't it something? It was like laundering money, wasn't it? I don't think it was malware or spyware. I thought it was laundering money, wasn't it? Alternate says IGN has no review because they're deciding if they give it a 7 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. We need the Travis song ASAP. Why? Oh, IGN gave it an 8. They gave it an 8. They broke the mold. Holy Christ, they gave it an 8. That's amazing. How could they do it? They gave it an 8. It's amazing. Let's see. Marvel Rivals Season 1.5 Rival Season Preview stream starts tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern. Tim the Tatman is going to be playing The Thing. And I don't know the other creator. Who's the other creator? Tim the Tatman, Andrew, is playing Storm, I guess. Or, I'm sorry, Human Torch. What else we got here? 10 days until the new 2K25 PGA game comes out. Seems like a light morning. I don't think anyone's come up with any more news here. So I think that is going to do it for us today. Let me see the chat you guys are saying. Travis says, shit, I might have to pick it up. Altern says, oh my God, the sky is falling. Ray says, maybe IGN thought it was a PlayStation exclusive. I've never played a Yazuka game before. I've never played one before, so... And we're probably not going to start now. We have way too many games we're playing. Way too many games. Between Eternal Strands and now playing Avowed tonight. Avowed's a 30 to 40 hour game minimum. So. All right. That's going to do it for us today. I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. If you guys like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Avowed over on the 30 and Still Gaming gaming channel, which is a completely different channel. This is 30 NSG. Down below, you can find 30 and Still Gaming. Go check out that. We also have Nerding with 30, and we also have 30 and Still Jamming, which is the AI music stuff if you want to go listen and watch those type of things. Again, 8 p.m. tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the Daily Grind. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Sunshine, rise and shine. The Daily Grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. We're nitty tuned in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the Daily Grind, your morning fix. place. We cover gaming always. Race, controller ready, headset too. We've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Laughs and news, our winning blend, the show with you, our dearest friend. Comments rolling, chats alive, the daily grind, 5-star vibe. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Good morning, sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun below. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. Tune in.